Sorry.
That's definitely getting cut.
Welcome to SinCast, presented by Cinemasins.
All right, everybody, welcome to the SinCast. This is Chris Atkinson from Cinemasins, joined as always by the voice of Cinemasins, Jeremy Scott.
Hello, that's me.
That's me.
That's you.
From Music Video Sins, Barrett Share.
Hey, it's me.
And joining us again. No, we are glad to have today Aaron Dicer in the room.
Mightily ho, Cinerinos.
Yes, coming here because it everything makes sense. We're doing it. It's New Hampshire, so
that's right.
You know a lot about New Hampshire.
all the times.
That's right.
You had to bring in the heavy machinery.
Oh my God! There's some times where it's a Friday afternoon, and I'm like, you know what? It's been a while since I've been to New Hampshire, and I just charter a flight.
New Hampshire, Delaware's hat.
Yeah. Is this where Frank is from?
No, Frank's in Delaware.
But see, that's what I always do.
But my
These
new
New England states are the same.
That's my thing. My new favorite game is fucking up the general geography of the New England area, which apparently Delaware is vehemently not a part of the New England area, even though they are.
I was going to say, that's complete nonsense.
They are.
When we did Delaware, I'm pretty sure we mentioned that Frank was there, and then I totally forgot that.
Oh, Frank is easy to forget. Actually, that's not fair. Not too mean to Frank. We love Frank.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Go get him, Frank.
I like Frank.
TV's Frank.
TV's Frank from TV.
Mm-hmm. But we're going on our road trip to New Hampshire, so...
Shotgun.
On the road again. The most time-honored tradition of all, the road trip. Oh, the places you'll go.
Are we there yet?
No.
Are we there yet?
No.
Are we there yet?
No.
New Hampshire, we'll start off with, here's a sunny one. Affliction.
Been a couple of them in a row, yeah.
Oh, geez.
I haven't seen it in forever, but it's a good movie.
It's a really good movie,
Is
right?
this the
Yeah.
Sissy Spacek one?
No, this one is Nick Nolte and James Coburn.
Yeah, and it's got a really good cast. Nick Nolte, yes. Sissy Spacek is in it. James Coburn, Willem Dafoe plays the sheriff, I believe, in that. Really, really good ensemble cast. Like, they're all working together. The relationship between Nolte and Coburn is just...
Yeah.
fucked
It's
up.
devastating. Yeah. Yeah, and the affliction here, is it a spoiler to say it's alcohol?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, I mean the affliction here is alcohol.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like not only Coburn, but Nolte, who's playing his son. That's like Coburn is the older. Yeah, Coburn is the father. Nolte's the son.
Yeah, because it doesn't seem like there's that much
Not much of a
between
gap.
those two guys.
Yeah.
You know?
But yeah, this is a Paul Schrader directed movie. Maybe the last thing Paul Schrader is really known for. Maybe, I don't know.
Did he do the Canyons?
Oh, I don't know. I don't think he did the.
You're
Canyons.
forgetting about his time as a music leader on David Letterman.
Oh yeah, that's right. The music leader.
Bringing Out the Dead was.
Bringing Out the Dead. He wrote that, right? He wrote that, and Scorsese directed Bringing Out.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, he wrote that.
And, he did Autofocus. That was the other one. God, he did do the Canyons. In
That's
fact.
Greg Kinnear, right?
Yeah.
Oh, what a movie!
The Bob Crane.
Yeah, not fun.
Yeah, not fun at all. Well, that's Paul Schrader's MO. He's not fun.
No.
Like everything that he writes is like Taxi Driver and.
We're totally missing First Reformed, which came out this year, right? Like, that's Paul Schrader.
Is it
Isn't
really?
Am I wrong about that?
I
Ethan
mean,
Hawke, First Reformed?
I didn't see it.
No,
so-
it's one of my favorite movies of the year.
Yeah, he wrote and directed that.
Oh, it's so good.
It's no Logan though.
Okay. Thanks, Ethan.
I heard that's really good too. You really like it?
I really like it. Yeah.
I've heard it's great.
Yeah, written and directed by, and it's got 7.2 on the IMDb.
Nice.
Yeah, so
I will tell you,
it looks
though,
like people agree with you.
Ethan Hawke's
For
PSI went from a 7.2 to a 7.0 when he started dogging on Logan. I'm just saying. I like the guy. All his movies
He wasn't
have
really
been enjoyable
dogging
to me.
on Logan. He was just
He was dogging on comic book movies in
he's
general.
saying comic book movies are overrated, I think is what he was trying to get at.
Yeah, although by implying they're not really art.
I know,
Yes,
I know,
exactly,
and that's
exactly.
he doesn't need to go there,
I
man.
know.
That's my
I
point.
know.
That's why I dropped him 2 points on his PSI rating. Which is
Yeah.
that's a naked and afraid thing, but I'm using it for like Jeremy's liking a
We were
celebrity.
talking about like air pressure or something
No,
like
it's
that.
like personality, substantial. I'll make something up later.
Oh, you know what it is.
No, I know what it is on
know
the
exactly
show.
what it is,
Yeah, it's like personal survival rating or PSR or whatever.
Index, I think.
Index, yeah.
Okay. Well, it's good to see that Paul Schrader. I need to see First Reformed. It's good to see that he's sort of back, so to speak.
Yeah.
Because a lot of he's known for a lot of like just gritty screenplays, like Taxi Driver, Raging Bull. He did the Cat People as well. We've talked about Cat People. There's Cat People, but Affliction is a really good movie. I think did Coburn win the Oscar?
Coburn won. Nolte
Yeah.
was nominated, did not win.
Yeah.
And I think maybe Sissy Spacek was in the running, if not
It's
the
a
Oscars.
it's a big performance
Oh, yeah.
movie. Yeah. But
Not to be confused with Afflection, which is the unauthorized Ben Affleck.
That's correct. That's correct. You know what? When he does make another comeback, that's what we're going to call it. The Afflection.
The Afflection.
Yeah, it's not the Affleckazance like what everybody wants to do. It's the Afflection. Onward to something just as good as Affliction. Click, the Adam Sandler movie where the magic remote.
Have you seen it?
Yes.
You've seen this, right?
Oh, yes.
I saw at least half of it.
This is Bruce Almighty with a remote control, right?
And kind of like the It's a Wonderful Life, right?
Yeah, it's more of a family version of that because he's fast forwarding the boring parts of his family life because he wants to he's some sort of like architect or something like that, like a fast moving, fast paced executive, and he wants to get to the fun parts.
Yeah,
and stuff
but
like that.
isn't there a scene in there where he's like making boobs bigger and stuff like that with the remote control? Or,
Yeah, I think there.
doesn't
yeah.
he do
I think
something
you're
like
right.
that?
I think
and then
you're right.
and then Christopher Walken is the Morgan Freeman in this, except he's playing the devil.
He's
in
death.
He's death. Yeah. He's death.
And this is the first, I think, the first Christopher Walken, because this was 2006, I believe. This is the first Christopher Walken one that I saw him just going full Walken.
Yeah.
Like just abandoning any
I think
touch
there's
with
even
reality.
a part where he's like, "I'm the angel of death," something like that. Whatever his name is, whatever Sandler's name is, he's like, "I'm the angel of death, Adam," you know. and it comes in some weird like reveal towards the end, but Click. It's not a great movie.
No.
You know, I thought it was as fun as like a decent. There's going to be a weird trend here of me
Oh, my goodness.
kind of defending some
really?
of the Adam Sandler movies on this list.
Does he shoot a bunch of these in New Hampshire?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why?
I don't know. Maybe he's from there.
Maybe he's like owns.
Maybe he owns the state.
Oh yeah, I forgot Kate Beckinsale's in this too.
Yeah, she's his wife.
Yeah.
You know, it's not good, but Christopher Walken is fun because he's just going for it like all crazy. And it's got an interesting story.
And he has to learn that the little dull moments are where family really.
Oh, Sean Astin is in this.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Sean Astin, I think, in pretty decent shape.
Yeah?
He hasn't gone.
Well, he suddenly had like a sort of a he was kind of like Rob Schneider there for a while, or he's like in all these Adam Sandler movies.
Oh,
You
yeah.
know, and Steve Buscemi, like because he
Oh,
was
yeah,
in
yeah.
because Sean Astin was also in 50 First Dates.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
And then there's another Sandler movie called 8 Crazy Nights. I saw this too.
This movie sucks.
Yeah, I was about to say the other Adam Sandler movies
it's
on
not
this
this
thing.
one.
You're gonna defend this shit.
No,
this
this
was
movie
an
sucks.
animated movie. It came out around Thanksgiving,
Uh-huh.
and it's obviously about Hanukkah. But yeah, I saw this fucking movie, man. Certain movies make you just remember certain like. I think Regal always did this thing with Thanksgiving. The night before Thanksgiving and the night before Christmas, they would always close early. So it would be like 8:00 would be when you'd get out and everything. But still, I'd still have to watch movies because we were always getting stuff coming out. So like, you get to watch something at like 8 finally instead of like midnight and everything. And this was one of those movies, but it still felt like, you know, it always feels like 2:00 in the morning even after you do all that. But yeah, I didn't like 8 Crazy Nights
Oh
at all.
my god! Do you remember this?
I like the idea. I've always admired Sandler for putting his faith out there as much as he has and trying to. I think there are probably millions of kids out there who deserve a Hanukkah animated, holiday movie. I just wish he hadn't made a piece of crap.
Yeah,
Because it's
no
almost
kidding, right?
unbearable. It's almost like somebody heard the Hanukkah song and said, write us an animated script.
Well, yeah, it was Sandler.
And 12 years later, it was turned in, and that's what they... Anyway.
And he voices like 2 or 3 characters in this, I think.
Oh, he's a regular Eddie Murphy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Totally. That's what they were saying when it came out.
Yes. His whole career they've been saying that.
Exactly.
Oh, my God.
And then The Devil and Daniel Webster. I never saw this.
Alec Baldwin?
1941.
No, this is the old one. Yeah, 1941. Somehow I have seen this.
Yeah.
And it's really good. It's
based
the
on a play,
tale,
right?
Yeah, well, yeah, it is. Which itself is a derivative of the Faust legend, where the devil makes a bargain with a guy walking down the road that's down on his luck, and he says, I'll take your deal, and things start going well for him and stuff like that, and then
It's like Homer and the donut.
Yeah, exactly. Is this how he got inspiration to write the dictionary?
Hey-o!
Exactly.
One of those things that came. Good things that
it's like
came
I
out of
can't put all the words to paper. I need to sell my soul to the devil.
The dictionary is made by the devil.
Yeah, exactly. I think they did actually do a Simpsons though, based on this, didn't they? They did it was a Halloween episode.
Well, yeah, like
segment.
Bart sells his soul to the
It's
devil
Bart,
for like
yeah.
a Formula One car or something, right?
yeah, and then and so then there's I think no. Actually, no. Is that the same episode?
Might be the same
It is the
one.
one. Homer sells his soul for the donut, and then they go through all the trial and everything,
Yeah.
and then by the end of it, we find out that he signed his soul over to Marge long ago. And, and it's the one where
that's so
Lionel Hutz
sad.
comes out, and it's like a contract is an agreement under the law that is unbreakable, which is unbreakable. Excuse me, I must use the restroom.
So there you go, 8 Crazy Nights.
How's Bruce Willis not in this movie? And all the numbers and shit.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So Devil and Daniel Webster's good, huh?
Oh yeah, that's a fun one. It's not a fun one, but it's a good one.
Then we have 2 Jumanjis.
Yeah, it's interesting how they set this in New Hampshire, and you can definitely see it in the first one where they're racing around the town, and it's a little colonial
It is.
New England type of thing. Obviously, in Jumanji: Welcome to the Jungle, they spend more time in the actual game. But yeah,
there's jungles in New Hampshire.
that's true.
Let's just go to another spot of New Hampshire where there's all those jungles and everything.
When are they going to tell us how the Jumanji board game got from the shores of France back to New Hampshire? Like,
Well, that was one of the things we sent.
How did it
Yeah.
get turned into a video game from a board game?
well, that's
Well,
Well, there was a flash of light.
no, for sure. At the end of Jumanji, it's like there's people speaking French on a beach, and then Joe Schmo American dude runs by at another beach, and it's
Why could they not put one scene in there of like, hey, it got shipped back
Yeah.
somehow?
That bothers you more than how it goes from board game to video game?
no?
Well, there is a flash of green light where it starts off as a board game,
Correct.
and it turns into
Yeah.
a video game.
they at least
So
attempt to show there's a transition there somehow.
But what?
Now,
Okay, so what about a flash of green light on the beach at Normandy and then poof, it's in a kid's bedroom?
Then show it to us.
yeah,
that
that's fine.
fixes it for you.
I mean, it fixes that part for it.
We'd still sin it, but it would fix it
Okay,
All
the second one is better than the first one, right?
Completely.
for sure.
Yeah.
It's miles ahead of the first.
And it
one.
not just because the CG is so dated in the first one. The first one was kind of hokey at the time.
Well, the first
Yeah.
one, remember also, the first one is based on this Chris Van Allsburg, but this Newbery Award winning, Caldecott Award winning, for illustrations. It's like 10, 12, maybe 20 pages or whatever.
Yeah.
And just like the Polar Express, the same dude.
Yeah.
Like you take something that's like got a very simple and short story, and then you throw Robin Williams in there. Oh, he's been trapped for years and years, and like, and it's just, I don't know. There's just, what's missing in that movie, or maybe it's just too much in that movie overall.
Well, it doesn't know what it wants to be because there are some times where it's really, really goofy. Like the stuff with Robin Williams and David Allen Greer when he pulls them over and all that stuff is like slapstick. And then some of it is just like straight up action. And some of it is straight up like they're trying to make it dramatic, with all this history between Bonnie Hunt and him. And it's like, just pick a lane, at least for most of it.
Yeah.
When the hunter guy gets knocked over in the shopping center, it's more slapstick.
Yeah.
And it's out of place.
Yeah.
I don't know.
This was a stretch where Robin Williams I think he had a few movies in a row that made $100 million here in the States. He was on a real big roll. Jumanji was just a part of that and everything. I think maybe even Flubber may have been one of
Patch
those.
Adams or something.
Patch Adams might have been.
Jumanji was huge, right? Like it
was a hit.
It was I think it went over 100 million for sure.
And then
but
the second one was like a
second
baller
one's
hit,
a
right?
blockbuster.
Yeah.
He had a pretty good streak going on there. Jumanji: Welcome to the Jungle is just way better, and I don't. That was that trip to California that we took earlier this year and watched it, and I didn't expect to enjoy a movie that much, especially coming off of a plane, being at like 8:00 in the morning, and then going there and just happened to have a 10:30 Welcome to the Jungle. All right, I'll watch this shit, and it was good, man. I liked it.
Yeah, really came out of nowhere. I think for all of us. Even though Chris said it was good, I didn't imagine why it was good.
Yeah.
Well,
I just couldn't bring myself to believe him.
I think
when he told
that's the
me.
case, right? Because this is coming on the heels of Baywatch and
Central Intelligence,
Helicopter and Helicopter, San Andreas, and then Central Intelligence, and then we were seeing a couple of these in there, and so then this movie comes along, and I'm like, no, I'm done, dude, I'm done. And so it kind of feels like the movie when people say no, it's good, it's like they expected such a turd that when it's only a little turd, but that wasn't the case. This movie's genuinely funny, at least for the first hour, for sure.
Isn't the trick though that it's actually not a rock movie? Like it's not a rock movie. It's really a collaborative
that's exactly
cast.
how it works. But he's the Rock, but he's not playing the Rock. He actually can pull off this nerdy character.
He's making fun of his persona.
Yeah.
And not only that, it's not just him. Like it's this team of 4 people, and the fact that they're playing different people, and it's actually what gives me hope for sequels in this is the idea that they could be the same avatars but in different ones of them. Like that could be fun to see the next one where The Rock is a different character and Jack Black is a different one. So
and instead of Nick Jonas, they have to rescue one of the BTS guys.
Yes. J-Hope?
I don't know. I'm just impressed I named an actual band. I wasn't really sure. Oh, man.
Then we have 2 versions of Lolita.
Ooh.
Okay. I don't know if I like either version.
All right.
The Kubrick version has always seemed to be, first off, way too long. And second off, it's a difference between drama and comedy for me. It's drama for a long time, then Peter Sellers shows up, and Peter Sellers makes it into a comedy automatically. And it's just hard for me to, and especially in 1962, you couldn't really explore this subject matter very well. I feel like the movie is well before it could actually be made.
Okay, I totally understand that, and I agree with it to a certain point. If they didn't have that intro that showed Peter Sellers' character, where dude comes to kill him, basically, where he's doing all these crazy voices and he's doing this and that kind of thing, even at the expense of, he knows he's about to get killed, He doesn't even start pleading for his life until at the very end. I mean, it's got a gun pointed at him. So, yes, when he gets introduced at the beginning, you kind of get a sense for that character. Then it does switch back to the drama and the quote romance.
It has now officially been about 20 years since I've seen this movie. But,
oh, really?
Yeah.
The Kubrick version?
The Kubrick version.
Yeah, no, and then when he's reintroduced, yes, it probably is a little jarring, but I think because you had that first inclination to him, you kind of set up for that. I guess that's where he was going with it.
Now, I don't really have much fondness for the 1997 version either.
Me neither.
The Adrian Lyne version, or Adrian Lynn, however you pronounce his name.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
the guy who did Indecent Proposal, which we talked about recently, did that one, and that one was on Showtime or HBO. Was it a Showtime or HBO movie?
The one with Jeremy Irons?
Yeah. Jeremy Irons and Dominic Swain.
Dominic Swain.
That one was way more pervy.
Yeah, that one was.
I mean, they're both pervy.
The root story is pervy enough that it's one of those things that I wonder why we feel the need to tell this story more than once, and maybe even the once. Like,
yeah, and
what are we trying to?
Well, I mean, there's a compelling story in there about obsession and
Well, it's
and
a
all
thing
kinds
in
of
have you read the
subjects.
book too?
Yes, a long time ago.
it's a Nabokov, and he's a master or whatever.
Great
So-
goalie.
Yeah, absolutely. But there's an opening passage on there where he says basically he just missed out on so many girls when he was younger and everything. You remember that?
No, I don't remember that.
I think that's what he says. He missed out on girls who were his age when he was growing up, and then when he got to 30, he never knew what it was like to be with those girls. Now, again, yes,
yeah. That's a
exactly
shitty
what
excuse
Jeremy
right
is
there.
talking about. But it does explain certain, I think, behaviors, even though they're not right. It's
No,
just-
they're not okay. But yeah, it's the psychology
there is
behind this guy.
There is a drama to it that is worth exploring.
He throws everything away for this girl, and then the girl falls out of love with him. And what is he left with now? You know, I mean, it definitely is a compelling journey, especially the epilogue, essentially, where he goes to see her out in her cabin, where I think she's pregnant and stuff like that later on. He's a shell of a man, and that's why he goes to Peter Sellers' thing.
Who do you like better, Jeremy Irons or James Mason?
James Mason, for sure.
Mason's really good.
Jeremy Irons, he's perfectly fine in this movie, but I think the direction that they went for by really sexualizing her, and I think that's the difference between the 62 version is because they couldn't do that, it made the story a little easier to kind of sit through, to get to the compelling parts, because this is not cool. None of this is cool. You don't really want to revel in that. You don't really want to identify with that. And if you sexualize Lolita, by having her, I think Dominic Swain was of age when she did this.
Yeah, she was of age when it came out. Now I don't know if she was during filming or anything, but
Yeah, I think when you do that, then you're starting to almost endorse some of the viewpoints of the movie,
Yeah.
and I'm not cool with that.
Is Lolita I haven't seen either of these, but is Lolita herself want to sexualize herself? Like, not at first.
Not
Is she
really.
seductive?
I think
or-
she's just innocent, so in 62 version she's totally innocent.
Yeah, she's chaste and girl-like and everything.
In the 97 version, I feel like she's innocent, but it's portrayed in a lens that makes her seem sexy
I
or
agree,
try
yeah.
to be sexy or whatever.
Well, because I think of this and then I compare it to something like The Tale, that I've heard you talk about and I've seen as well, and it's one of my favorite movies of the year. As painful as it is to watch, as hard as it is to watch that kind of stuff, and I feel like there is something that feels a little more honest about a portrayal like that, because it comes from the perspective of the woman.
Right.
It comes from the perspective of the person who is dealing with their sexuality and dealing with what somebody else did to them and how they perceive that. And there's something so much more powerful about that and empowering about that than the Lolita story, which is, as far as I understand it, is about the male understanding of that. It's from the perspective of the male character.
yeah, oh yeah,
Um,
all the way
so, yeah.
through. Yeah, I mean, I think that's the trick that Kubrick pulls off mostly. Now, there are some parts of that movie that are very uncomfortable, but he doesn't let this guy off the hook, both from a story perspective and from a cinematic perspective. He's not a hero for doing any of this stuff. So he warts and all, like he'll show it from if you're going to be tied to that perspective, which if you follow the source material you're going to be, then. Don't hand wave through this disgusting act, basically.
Yeah.
And neither version of Lolita is as good as Long Island Lolita.
No, of course not.
Was that a Hallmark thing or a Lifetime thing?
That
was
was just the name for
Amy Fisher.
It was,
Yeah.
but I'm sure that somebody made a movie with some seamless
No.
cast and called it that.
They
right?
did. There was one that went through the whole title, the Amy Fisher story, or the Amy Fisher, the Long Island Lolita. I think one of them did. There was 3 fucking Amy Fisher movies that came out.
Yeah.
That was a big
I've
ass
seen
story.
at least one of them.
Yeah, Drew Barrymore played
Yeah.
Amy Fisher in one, and I can't remember there was the other
All
2.
about
But
that.
Now she was not of age too, right?
what?
She was underage.
Amy Fisher?
Amy Fisher, right?
I don't remember.
I think she
Isn't
was.
that why they called her the Long Island
I think
Lolita?
so. Yeah.
I don't remember.
Yeah.
I thought it was because her middle name was Lolita.
Yeah,
It's
What
perfect,
kind of,
I tell you.
What kind of parent would ever name
yeah,
their kid Lolita? Oh, there's some names that are off limits now.
yeah, for sure.
There are. Like,
My son Hitler and my daughter Lolita.
Yeah, you don't want to do that.
I mean, I bet you people are avoiding like shit like Harvey.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Donald.
Spacey.
Donald. I think there are enough others like ducks and such.
James
that,
Gunn.
James Gunn, get back here.
Yeah, that does.
James Gunn,
that is
play it in the street.
That is a Southern name now. If you named them 2 names, James Gunn.
Ed Tom.
My name's James Gunn. My name's James Gunn Ray.
Ray Gunn?
Yeah, Ray Gunn. Ray Gunn. On to happier times. Mr. Deeds, Adam Sandler.
God, he loves New Jersey. I mean, Hampshire.
Yeah. He also loves Hawaii a lot. Like, I don't.
Oh, yeah?
Well, who wouldn't love Hawaii?
He likes to
man?
travel.
Like,
Well, that's the thing. He likes to do that's the thing. He likes to do these movies, but I don't know what the draw to New Hampshire is necessarily,
I don't
unless it's
know.
just a coincidence.
Yeah, he's from a little town in New Hampshire before he goes to New York to
So
inherit.
the Mr. Deeds Goes to Town wasn't in New Hampshire? Because that was the Gary Cooper
I don't think
version.
so.
I've seen the Gary Cooper version. I've not seen this.
Have you seen it?
This was the last. I'm putting myself out there. I know this is a hated movie, but this is the last time I actually enjoyed Sandler.
Oh yeah,
Me too.
I actually enjoy this movie.
Oh, yeah?
I think
I do
if
too.
you're in like the old school Sandler mindset, this movie actually works in some of the same ways that Billy Madison might, or some of those ones that you know. But it really is in there. In like I think Little Nicky was actually before this.
yeah, it was.
And
yeah.
I didn't like Little Nicky. Like I felt like Little Nicky. I didn't
Little
understand.
Nicky is a piece of shit.
That is
Yeah.
awful.
yeah.
So, but then he released it. And I was like, oh, okay, maybe he'll still make some good movies. And I was wrong. But that's that was the last time I actually enjoyed him.
He's charming in this. He's
Yeah.
charming to a fault. It's the
It-
idealized Adam Sandler where there's a scene where they're signing a star football player to the team and everything, and he's asking for more money, and it's Jerry O'Connell, right?
I think so.
And he's like, you watch your mouth, there's ladies present here, and this is a star athlete and the MVP of the league and stuff like that, and he cusses again, and Sandler like punches him in the face. He's like, I told you. And but otherwise, like he's chivalrous and he's generous to his community. Everybody loves him. He wants to give his fortune away to the United Negro College Fund.
He accepts his girlfriend even though she's a shoplifter.
Yeah, that's right.
She is a
Winona
undercover
Ryder
reporter.
plays a shoplifter in this movie. No,
But no, and the star of the show that steals the movie is John Turturro.
I was going
as
to
the
say that's
butler.
the thing
so
I liked the
good.
most about the movie was he was exceptionally
Yeah.
funny. Because a lot of the times, honestly, the biggest knock on Sandler is probably the biggest defense of Sandler, and that's that he's just getting his friends together and having a good time. But a lot of times these famous person in these wonky, weird cameo roles don't work very well for me. Like Buscemi as the would-be assassin in Billy Madison.
Yeah.
Never worked nearly as well as Turturro does in this one for me. It just was a perfect combination of him being willing to go for it and just a funny gag. Because isn't he trying to what's the recurring gags? He's sneaking up on him,
he
right?
says sneaky.
Yeah. Sneaky, sir.
And then they've got that famous scene, at least at the time, where he shows him his foot, which was all blacked
Yes.
out because he got frostbite and everything. And he's like, "No, go take a whack at it." So he's got this fireplace poker, and he's just wailing away. And then eventually, he sticks it in there, and Sam's like, "Oh!" And he's like, "Oh my god!" He freaks out. He's like, "I'm just messing with you."
by the way, I did not see Jerry O'Connell in the credits.
It's
I
a
didn't
Jerry
either.
O'Connell lookalike. It's
Discount.
You've seen the guy before.
Okay.
I'll look for him. Hang
It's
on.
a guy that has never
It's-
been married to Rebecca Romaine.
It's Jeremy P. Connell, actually, I think.
Yes, that's correct. That's correct.
Um,
He's known as Peacock in high school.
That's right.
Brandon Malale.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh, of course. Good old Malala.
Classic.
classic.
He looks a lot like Jerry O'Connell.
Then we have On Golden Pond. It was a
Oh.
1981 version, which got nominated for some Oscars. And then it was a remake, which I did not know about.
Oh,
The remake, interestingly, was broadcast. There's a lot of these that I'd never heard of that were adaptations that were done as a live TV event. So this one was for... So this was on CBS. It was one of those live events and all
Okay.
that stuff. And had Julie Andrews and Christopher Plummer, which is interesting because they reunited after doing Sound of Music
Yeah.
so many years ago. So
the first On Golden Pond got not only Oscar nominations but wins for Henry Fonda, Katharine Hepburn, and it looks like the writing also got a win
and Best
as
Picture.
well. And it got nominated for Best Picture. It didn't win. This was the Chariots of Fire year, I believe.
Oh.
But Hepburn and Fonda both got. I've never seen On Golden Pond, so I'll be saying this out of my ass here, but that sounds like Lifetime Achievement Awards to be giving Fonda and Hepburn acting trophies.
They're pretty amazing in this. Do you remember this movie?
I actually haven't seen it.
Yeah, they're pretty amazing in this. It's a character study. It's a character drama, and it's pretty spectacular. As an acting showpiece, basically.
No, it's trash.
Not
It's-
a lot of action.
garbage.
It's not action heavy.
It struck me as one of those things, and you can correct me on this if I'm wrong, but it struck me as one of those things like when I'm looking at my list of shame and movies I haven't seen that I need to see, like it just doesn't rise to the top of that list. Like I'm never excited to sit down and watch on
Well,
Golden
I look
Pond,
at it,
so
and I don't see the title on Golden Pond. I see the subtitle, Two Old People Talking About Shit for 2 hours.
right, exactly.
So
No,
I don't ever
it's-
put it in.
Or the porn title On Golden Blonde, which was when they came out.
You know what's disappointing to me is I was watching Zack and Miri the other day for some reason. I don't
Yeah.
know
That is
why.
disappointing.
It is. It's one of those movies that has enough chuckles. I
Same
keep
for
thinking
me.
it's going to
No,
be
you're
better
right,
than
you're
it
right,
is.
you're right.
Yeah.
But I'm always disappointed by the porn names they come up with. Because
Oh,
I feel
yeah.
like Seth Rogen and Kevin Smith and some of the Craig Robinson, you put those heads together, but they're coming up with like Star Whores.
Yep.
And I'm
Yeah.
like, it's probably to be true to character because they're playing idiots who basically have a high school education and nothing less and never did anything with their lives. I just made it sound like high school education's a bad. Anyway, it's disappointing to me. I feel like there should be more variety and more quality.
I
And
agree.
I bet Dicer could spend 5 minutes and write a whole page
guarantee
of better porn pun titles.
Yes.
It's a daily
Better
activity at my place.
What would you kids do it around breakfast table?
That's how you start to get to work is by
That's right.
coming up with porn titles.
I
And they're like,
agree.
all right, now I'm ready to write my great American novel.
This has also got Dabney Coleman and Jane Fonda playing Jane Fonda's.
Yeah, that's right. Then we have Our Town. I don't think I've ever seen a movie version of Our Town. I think actually I did see I think it was like a TV movie with Ned Beatty or something. I think Ned Beatty was in it.
What about the version Kirk Cameron does on Growing Pains?
Oh,
on that
right.
one episode.
I
Totally.
actually did see that version.
You remember?
Yeah, I
But
do.
Our Town is basically known for having that minimalist stage where there's just maybe a table and and then maybe like some other little couple of things, but that's it. There's no wallpaper. There's no, and people like when they're doing things, they mime it essentially and everything.
It's a play within a play.
Play within a play. Yeah. I actually don't remember anything else about it other than that Ned Beatty was in it and that particular thing.
It's interesting because there was a 2003 another live TV event for PBS this time for Our Town, and that's the one that Paul Newman was in. He got an Emmy nomination for it, but he was playing the stage manager. The stage manager is the guy that interacts with the audience and everything and tells you, like, sets the scene. Here's the scene in the play where we do this, and they do that. It's a lot of like meta stuff in this. And it's really good.
The Our Town I'm thinking of came out in 1977, had Hal Holbrook, Ned Beatty, and those are the big Ronnie Cox.
Was it TV?
Yes, it was.
Interesting.
But I don't remember what it's about really.
I just remember that it's about a play, and there's a conduit for the audience that that they introduce what they're doing and that kind of thing. I think it's almost like a day in the life of this town and different characters within that.
Yeah. Then we have The Rules of Attraction.
Man, all right, I want to stop here because there's very few movies set in New Hampshire, but for whatever reason, there was a high percentage of them that I've seen and that I really liked on this list, and Rules of Attraction is definitely one of them.
One of those undiscovered gems, I still feel like.
I
as
agree.
Rules of Attraction.
And that song that plays boop, 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 when he's walking to class, and we see Shannon Sossaman walking to class when they do that split screen and then it pans up. That song stays with me whenever I watch this movie. I probably haven't seen it in a few months, and I just pulled that song out of my ass. Boop, 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 boop.
Yeah, I love that song so much. So this was Bret Easton Ellis.
Yeah, Bret Easton Ellis wrote the novel, and then Roger Avery, who was associated with Quentin Tarantino for a long time, directed it.
Killing Zoe's Roger Avery.
That's right. Roger Avery wrote the screenplay based on this, but we've talked about Rules of Attraction a couple of times. I don't think we've ever gone right out and said, "Let you guys need to go watch this," but that's a recommend from this podcast.
It is, but I don't know if it's an easy watch.
I was gonna say you're gonna feel pretty dirty.
It's a wreck of warn maybe because of the content that's in this, but James Van Der Beek has never been anything like this.
No.
Well,
No.
even Fred Savage in his little
Yeah, exactly.
shooting heroin in his toes
Yeah.
cameo.
Well, and then you have who is it? Jay Baruchel shows up in this as some completely different too.
Yeah.
Just a lot of it's a lot of vignettes in it and everything. It's not like a real cohesive one. There is one sort of a thread going through it and everything. Sean Bateman, who is world connected to Patrick Bateman because
he's his brother.
Yeah, because of the Bret Easton Ellis connection and everything, is the main character in this, and he thinks that the Shannon Sossman character is sending him these notes, these love letters essentially and everything, and so he and her, like, she unbeknownst, like, she's kind of attracted to him, but she's not sending these letters.
Right.
So there's like this whole, like, I think you're into me. I think you're into me, blah, 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 going through it. And then, but then there's just all these other little segments that show up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just, there's a drug overdose thing. There's a thing with Ian Somerhalder who's trying to get with James Van Der Beek the whole movie. There's a scene with, I think it's Kip Purdue, which we've talked about before.
That's the best one.
That one where he's talking about all the stuff he's done on his European tour.
I met a girl in France. She took me home. We fucked.
And then we did lines of coke and blah, blah, blah. It's like it's drugs, sex, and rock and roll.
Oh, my God.
All in like a 30-second montage.
Oh, it's
that's
so great.
way quicker than any montage that you'll ever see.
Hey, what happened to Ian Somerhalder?
I don't know.
The vampire show.
Well, yeah, that was popular though, right?
Well, he was on Lost.
Yeah, this was before
yeah, that's
Lost,
right.
And then
but
he was on the Vampire
Diaries.
Okay, yeah.
And then he's on something new, a new show this year.
Oh, really? Okay, so I guess he just transitioned to TV, but it looked like he was going to have a pretty good movie career.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I thought he was too. But yeah,
He's kind of just playing Gay Boone in this, though, isn't he?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
I'm not sure he has a lot of range, is what I'm saying.
Hey, Boone? Is that his character's name
Boone
on
is
Lost?
the character's name on Lost,
Yeah.
right? And he's
Yeah.
playing that character
Right.
only in Rules of Attraction.
Yeah.
He's gay. I didn't think I said anything wrong.
Pat Boone?
But there's a I don't think you said anything wrong.
No. I'm trying to wrap my head around that. I don't.
Yeah, because
Besides it being the same actor,
but
there's very little overlap between those characters.
well, I don't know. In Lost, isn't he sort of like lusting after his stepsister?
Well, and he's kind of whiny, and I just feel like I was just trying to say, similar to what we were saying earlier about maybe Costner or Keanu, that the range maybe isn't necessarily there for him to have taken off as a movie star.
Well,
Because even in the Vampire show, I think he's playing Vampire Boone.
Well, it's true. In My Own Private Idaho, Keanu is just playing, gay Neo. So
There you go.
He is.
There you go.
Yes.
And River Phoenix
Keo.
is just playing gay.
Everybody's got a straight and
River.
gay version of themselves out there.
Right. I mean, hell, everybody's gay sometimes. It's Hollywood.
Correct. There's a ton of people, though, in this movie. Jessica Biel, Kate Bosworth's in this, Thomas Ian Nicholas,
Yeah,
Clifton
that's a boy.
Collins. Clifton Collins has this manic section in there where he's like, I need you like my asshole, my elbow, my elbow. Faye Dunaway, Swoozie Kurtz. There's
Eric
like
Stoltz.
Eric Stoltz, who's playing a real creepy ass fucking professor.
I just love that Fred Savage's actual character name is a junkie named Mark. Can't you just say Mark?
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's like that thing you do where Ethan Embry's called the bass player.
Yeah.
Like I think his character is credited as TBP.
bass player.
I had to think it through.
Jeremy's Iron.
Jeremy's Iron.
But no, Rules of Attractions is a fun movie. I would, maybe Wreck a Warren, since there are a lot of like themes in this that will make you uncomfortable.
Have you read the book?
Yes.
It's a very faithful adaptation of that book.
Yeah.
And the book will also make you feel like you need a shower.
Yeah, definitely. For sure. Another great movie, To Die For.
I haven't seen this.
To Die For is great.
Yeah.
I saw it in theaters, and I saw it right when it came out on video, which was, what, 90s? Mid-90s?
Yeah, it came out in 95.
95.
And I haven't seen it since, but I remember thinking it was great.
Yeah, I love this. This is when Nicole Kidman arrived for American audiences.
I think so,
believe.
yeah, for sure.
Before this, she was Miss Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
And like everything that she came out with was like, I don't know if she's good or not.
Mm-hmm.
To Die For put all that to rest. And everything since then, really, after this, sort of put that to rest. She made her own career really well after
Yeah,
this movie.
she's a great actress.
Yeah, she
and
is.
this was
and
the first time you saw it.
The first time I remember seeing Joaquin Phoenix.
Mm-hmm.
And this is based on a true story, at least loosely. Because I remember the story.
I don't know if it is or not, but I think it's a fairly common enough story.
Maybe that's
that-
what I'm thinking. Is
that-
that
Crazy common. You hear one of these stories like every year, it seems like.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was Pamela Smart was who it was based on. The
Okay,
story
that's
of
what I
Pamela
thought.
Smart.
Yeah. So Nicole Kidman, this is a Gus Van Sant movie.
Yep.
Uh,
which is probably why there's a phoenix in it.
yeah, and Casey Affleck.
Yeah.
But Nicole Kidman plays a weather girl at a local station who wants to like become this awesome like national reporter or whatever. So she thinks the best way to do this, completely out of her purview, is to go off and do like some like undercover thing at not undercover, but like go out and get real with the kids and like ask them questions like what's life like out here and everything. And then she gets romantically involved with Joaquin Phoenix.
Yeah.
And complicating the matters even more, she's like, I want you to kill my husband, Matt Dillon.
Yeah, man.
Would you kill my husband, Matt Dillon, for me? So it becomes this big, like, really complex and, good story.
Yeah.
And everything. It's really well done. And this is Nicole Kidman has just arrived in this.
I really want to watch this again, like right now.
Yeah, I know. I used to watch this. It used to come on one of the movie channels all the time way back in the day, and I just seem to always find myself drawn to it and everything. It's so good.
Mm-hmm.
To Die For, another big recommend from this podcast.
Definitely. And it takes place in New Hampshire.
Yeah,
Who knew?
somehow, some way.
That's right.
Oh, Dan Hedaya's in this as a real angry father.
Yeah.
Who else is in this?
Ileana Douglas.
Oh, Ileana Douglas
Yeah.
is in this. Then we have Urban Legend. This is
Yeah.
a piece of shit.
Oh, it's the first one or the second one?
Either
This is the-
one
well, this
doesn't
is the
matter.
first
The,
one,
the
yeah.
first one is this is the first one. It's a horrible movie.
Is the one that has
like
Jared
this?
Oh
Leto?
hell no!
Jared Leto's
Was,
in this?
was he in it?
Jared
Alicia
Leto?
Witt was and
Alicia Witt,
Rebecca Gayheart.
I don't even remember.
I'm
Jared
pretty sure
Leto.
Jared Leto's
was
in this.
Was Jennifer Morrison in this, or was
She's
she in the second
sequel.
one?
She's
yeah.
in Final Cut.
Yeah, it is Jared Leto, Alicia Witt, Rebecca Gayheart, and
Oh
Tara
yeah,
Reid,
yeah. Oh my god.
and Joshua Jackson.
It's basically like it was. This movie was cast based on like who had I seen in a magazine yesterday? Oh, okay, let's just get all of them.
Well, isn't it basically trying to imitate Scream's success
Yes.
by casting pretty people from like the WB and the CW?
we
or
were still
whatnot?
on the Scream wave at this point.
this
when
is
Urban
I know what you did last summer, all that.
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah, they're all kind of trying to recreate that success.
And-
Well, it feels more like Final Destination to me. Like it feels like it's one of those high concept, but that actually has like a concept that ties it together or whatever like
Yeah.
that. The difference is Final Destination actually pulls it off amazingly enough.
Yeah.
the first one.
And this one just didn't have it. I think this is a great concept. Like this could be a really
Well,
fun,
I think
interesting.
it's a fun movie.
Oh, you enjoy it?
I enjoy it.
Oh, I hadn't heard you say that yet.
Yeah, I mean, it's not great.
I was
it's not even
interrupting.
great for this slasher genre or anything like that. But if it's on, man, I
Well,
will probably watch it.
What I was going to get at about this movie is that it shows you how hard it is to make urban legends, which are meant to be real short stories that you
Right.
tell around campfires. How hard it is to make it a movie about that. To me, anyway, it seems like it's hard to make those. Like you're not taking one of our favorite urban legends and turning it into a full-blown movie. You're just
they're piling on several of them.
they're putting in a
Yeah,
bunch
yeah.
of them, and I never could get connected to that. Like if it you know, I mean, we could make it about the guy and the hook and everything, and you know the people making out, and you know the story of the people making out and the hook and all that. You would only have like a 15-minute movie.
I'm going to spoil this movie right here.
Okay.
So Rebecca Gayheart is the killer.
Right.
She sure
And
is.
she takes this. You can tell she was famous for being the Noxzema girl. All right. So she's not known for her.
Ding, ding.
She takes a hard right as soon as she's revealed to be the killer and just blows the top out of this performance. And she's like, ding, 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 motherfucker.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so great, man. Like, she just comes alive.
Yeah.
She's like, I've been in this Noxzema shell for this long. I'm coming out.
Yeah.
Don't forget she was also
I'm coming out, guns blazing.
Don't forget she was also in that
Noxzema
Heavy D
shell.
video.
What were you saying?
Don't forget she was also in that Heavy D video.
Oh yeah, she was in the Heavy D video. Oh man, that's
fun.
one of those things that I don't like about surprise killers. A lot of times is that you'll watch them and they're completely normal in everything that they do, and then suddenly when they're revealed to be that person, they're like suddenly just don't mind if I do. You know?
It works in something like The Devil's Advocate.
Yeah.
When you've got Al Pacino with his firepower.
Mhm.
It does not always work with Rebecca Gayheart.
Yeah, exactly. As we found out, it does not work with Rebecca Gayheart.
Funny though. man.
We all had a crush on Rebecca Gayheart back in the day.
Oh my goodness.
And Alicia Whip.
Yeah, especially Alicia.
And Jared Leto.
Yeah, and Jared Leto.
I'm not even joking.
Yeah, I was. Well, yeah, my so-called life. I was like, Claire Danes cannot have him.
I'm not even
That's
fully
true.
joking, I should say. He at that time was a beautiful man.
Jordan Catalano, man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That was my jam.
I liked Claire Danes' friend in that too.
Yeah, I could fuck that whole cast.
You have won the crown. There's nothing we can say the rest of this show that would be worse.
I
was the same age.
we all have stories.
All at once or just individually?
You were definitely. Yeah, I mean, we all were kind of around that age at the time.
I was in high school when that show was starting.
Mm-hmm.
I think,
I
right?
definitely
91,
was.
92?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
I mean, we're laughing. I don't think it's that bad. I don't think it's that bad.
It's not that bad. Then there's What About Bob?
Oh,
Lake Winnipesaukee.
That's in New Hampshire? That's probably
Yeah.
a real place, right?
Because there's this thing where Bob fakes his own death, and just so he can go into the call center, basically.
Yeah.
And he talks to the woman that talked to Leo Marvin, and he's like, Lake Winnipesaukee, is that in Delaware or something like that? And she's like, it's New Hampshire. And he's like, New Hampshire?
Yeah. Oh, what a great movie. Like, almost unfairly overshadowed in the lore that has become Groundhog Day. Like,
Yeah.
Like, I only went to see Groundhog Day because What About Bob had made me cry laugh at least 30 or 40 times. And I was like, whatever that man does next, I'm in.
Yeah.
And Groundhog Day is great. And I'm not trying to dog on Groundhog Day. I'm just saying, What About Bob has kind of been lost in the shuffle.
Mm-hmm.
And boy, is it end to end enjoyable.
It's perfect. It's a perfect comedy. It's so good. And I agree. I have both Groundhog Day and What About Bob in my top 100 movies of all time.
Yeah.
Just because they're so much fun to watch.
Yeah.
But it's like some of those quotes, like my kids and I still use the "I'll be quiet, I'll be peace." It's always, except for my kids get it mixed up and they don't realize they're ruining the joke. They start with "I'll be peace" and the other one's like "I'll be quiet." I was like, you kind of got that backwards, but we'll be okay. But just like front to back, I'm sailing, all that stuff is just so good.
Dr. Leo Marvin. Yeah, it's my wife and I
That
quote it all
dinner
the time
scene,
too.
oh, that dinner scene.
The dinner scene's great. My favorite part is when he's teaching his son to dive. Bob goes out after he goes sailing, and he's like, "I'm teaching your son to dive," and he holds him, and he's like, he's ready to go, and Leo comes out the door and everything, and as Richard Dreyfuss is going to pull his kid out of the water, he knocks over Bob, and Bob is in the water, and he's double jointed, so his hands are pointing out. He's like, "Am I gonna die? Am I gonna die?" He's like, "No, you're not gonna die, Bob."
I don't know if I've seen this since it came out in theaters.
Oh,
I've
wow.
literally seen this probably 30 times.
Yeah.
me too.
Jeremy was talking about how Groundhog Day overshadowed it. That was definitely the case for me because I've seen Groundhog Day more than that.
Oh, sure.
And What About Bob sort of got lost in the shuffle for me. And it wasn't until much later when I started hearing people say they love that movie as much as Groundhog Day that I was like, oh, well, I don't remember it as much as everybody else does. I haven't gone back to watch it, since I was 14 years old.
Oh, you will love it.
I've seen scenes from it since
Richard
then.
Dreyfuss is the unsung hero of this movie.
He
too.
really
He's
is. He has
so
the
good.
thankless role. He's basically playing the straight man who has to react to all the wacky antics that, Bob Wiley is doing. And, so his lines are mostly angry or reactive.
You think
but
he's gone? He's not gone. He's never gone.
That's what makes the comedy work, I think, is his slow burn to the end where he's finally gone crazy because of this crazy person. And it's just a singular, if I had to choose one performance for Bill Murray, it would be What About Bob?
Wow. That's a weird thought experiment.
Yeah, it would be.
Which Bill
Because
Murray
I bet you
do
most people would choose Ghostbusters or Groundhog Day.
I don't know. He's
Rushmore
probably
would be up there.
He's probably more, I don't know, varied manic in What About Bob, like more things to do. Whereas like in Rushmore, he's sort of playing on his own persona in those type of movies, in Broken Flowers and stuff like that.
Awesome translation.
Yeah. He's sort of playing on that whole thing. Whereas back in, and even Ghostbusters, he's just kind of playing he's just playing a jerk in that. What About Bob is sort of a step for him.
Yeah.
Where it's sort of a difference between what he's doing, all throughout his career up into this point.
Yeah, he's been a confident badass that's funny and a hero the whole time. And this is the first time, I guess, that even in Groundhog Day, he's a confident, immortal badass that ends up being like a total badass.
Yeah.
I've been reading a lot about Groundhog Day and the Buddhist nature of living your perfect day and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Anyway, but yeah, no, I think you're right. I think I would probably take What About Bob, Bill Murray.
It's not a bad call.
I like to put myself out there, but not that far out there. So, I like to have the
Baby
unpopular
steps.
opinion that's actually popular when you sit and think about it for a minute.
Then we'll do a little rundown here. The Hotel New Hampshire, a movie with Jodie Foster and young Seth Green, apparently. I've never seen it.
Yeah.
Is it any different from Hotel Artemis that she was in earlier this past?
That would be hilarious, actually.
Then there's I remember this movie. I don't know if I ever saw it. In the Mouth of Madness.
Sam Neill.
Sam Neill, John Carpenter directed.
Yeah, it's bad. I saw it in the theater, and it's bad.
Yeah.
It's
Wow. I used to see this at Blockbuster all the time, and I was like, had a cool, did you say Clive Barker?
No,
John Carpenter.
John Carpenter, that's right. It had that like gothic looking thing. It was a psychological horror film and everything. Just never pulled the trigger on it.
Carpenter had this awful 90s period, man, where he was just everything he came out with. Yeah, there was vampires, there was Village of the Damned, which had Christopher Reeve in it. Just everything he came out with in the 90s, it's like he just suddenly forgot how to make fun movies.
Escape from L.A.?
Yeah, Escape from L.A. All through the 80s, he made all these great, just like, even if they're not great movies, they're so watchable. And then in the 90s, something happened there, like either the studios.
Ghosts of Mars.
Oh my God. I forgot about that.
Which one was James Woods in? Was that Vampires?
That was Vampires.
He did Bats too, right?
Oh, I don't know.
I don't even know about that movie. 1999 Bats movie. That wasn't Carpenter. Somebody named Luis Morneau directed that one. Had Lou
I
Diamond.
guess I got Bats and
Vampires
mixed up.
probably, yeah. But yeah, if he had done that movie, it would have been in that same.
Yeah.
All right. So then there's In Your Eyes. What's written by Joss Whedon and starring Zoe Kazan. I didn't.
Have you
this.
seen this, Aaron?
I haven't seen any of the rest of these New Hampshire movies. So.
What? When was this?
2014.
So after the
Completely off of
Avengers,
my radar.
somewhere when he was doing that.
2014, I should have been seeing almost everything.
Yeah.
What's it called?
In Your Eyes.
And
Zoe
it's
I don't
Kazan,
remember- I don't remember
written
that
by
at all.
Whedon or directed by Whedon?
written by him.
Who directed it? Who's Zoe Kazan?
Bryn Hill.
Give me a synopsis.
It's a paranormal romance movie.
Two seemingly unconnected souls from different corners of the United States.
Hayden Christensen?
Make a telepathic bond that allows them to see, hear, and feel each other's experiences.
All right.
No, I missed this somehow.
Creating a bond that apparently can't be broken.
Oh, I know why. It had its world premiere at the 2014 Tribeca Film Festival, and it was self-distributed online instead of taking on theatrical distribution.
There you go.
But it's just so weird that there's, recognizable talent involved in this, and it just kind of
nobody
went into the
knows.
ether.
Yeah. And then there's Live Free or Die, not hard.
That'd be great if that were the actual title. I said not hard.
Yeah.
Die Not Hard.
Yeah. Apparently some of the Seinfeld writing team wrote some of this. I did not see this either. Northwest Passage is another classic movie I should have seen, but I haven't.
Yeah, me too.
Me either.
Spencer Tracy movie. Then there's The Plague. This also has James Van Der Beek in it.
Yes, it does.
I don't know.
I think I've accidentally seen some of this, and it was awful.
I'm sure it was.
This is I know what this is. This is the one where the kids start dying and turning into zombies, but then the zombies who are still kids start to develop this collective unconscious or like a telepathic ability, and they start getting smarter, and then they start getting smart enough to where they can outsmart the humans, but they're still kids, but they're zombie kids, and that's
The Plague.
And there's Dawson,
So it's like a
It's Dawson.
Borg mesh network
except with zombie kids.
of zombie children.
Yeah, I'm sure it's a wreck of Warren. Then there's What Goes Up, a Steve Coogan comedy. Never saw this either. And then Yeti, a love story. It's a trauma movie.
I may have accidentally watched some of this too.
I did not see this at all. That'll do it for New Hampshire.
That's it.
Yeah, well.
Yeah.
Well, I won't be sorry to see it go.
I think there's a lot of fun content in this list.
I think
When do we get to Hampshire?
Yeah. Old Hampshire.
Hampshire.
Wouldn't it be great? It would have been great if they actually named the original Hampshire Old Hampshire.
That's right.
That would have been
but with an E at the end of
with
old.
an E. Yes, exactly. All right, so we're gonna be doing some rants now.
Yeah, baby.
I feel like I'm taking crazy pills!
I'm as mad as hell.
You've never seen me very upset.
All right, who wants to rant first? Aaron, do you want to rant?
I can. I'm going to switch mine up because you said something during, I was thinking during Click about, fast forwarding through the boring parts of life. And when I work out, I watch whatever's on the TV without the volume, right? And this commercial comes on for headphones that you can plug into your TV. That's a fine product, right? There's times that's valuable. The whole commercial is about how to use this product to shut out your family. It's this dude who's the wife is trying to get him to help the kids with homework. And he's like, nope, I'm into the ball game. And he puts the headphones on. And I'm going, what? Way to appeal to the lowest common denominator of what it means to be a male. That's so awful. I was fuming. I was so mad coming out of my workout. I probably burned an extra 300 calories just from anger. But yeah, you mentioned that. It just reminded me of that. And just that there's something that started happening in the 90s-ish towards the early 2000s of the dumb dad, the dumb guy, stereotype, which I get and understand because, there is a need to bring guys down a peg, but there is a point of balance, right? Where it's okay, at some point we can just let, dads be cool again, right? Or be, at least not complete Homer Simpson.
There's that one commercial where it's the dad driving and he's like, I get $50 cash back every month. I have a brand new putter my wife doesn't even know about. And I'm like, that's fucking terrible. Right? It's awful marriage.
That's exactly my point.
Your wife should know about that money. You're an asshole. And he's like, whoopie-doo, I'm awesome. I got my cash back and didn't tell my wife. And I'm like, God, what an asshole.
I know. Buy our headphones. Ruin your marriage.
Yeah.
I just don't get it. Your kids will never know you because you can put our headphones on.
It reminds me of there was a Mr. Show skit where they finally combined mustard and mayonnaise into the same jar so that you wouldn't have to waste so much time.
I remember.
And
Did they go with mayo stirred?
one's mayo stirred and the
Okay.
other one is mustard anise.
Yeah, mustard.
And so the mayo stirred one, I think, is like people are like in this 1984 existence or something like that, and they're like eating their sandwiches and shit. And some like dude like dressed up as Abraham Lincoln comes in and is like, "Let's get the hell out of here!" And that's how they sell the mayo stirred. But the mustard anise has Bob Odenkirk as this father who keeps missing his daughter's stuff. And it's like the daughter comes in and is like, "I'm going to the you want to see me play in my game or whatever?" And he's like sitting there spreading stuff on his bread or whatever. He's like, he just shakes his head like, "Can't go." And then it's like the girl comes in and she's graduating and he's like, "Dad, I'm graduating." And he's like, just shakes his head and he's like, "Dad, I'm getting married." And he's like, And then this old lady comes in, "Dad, I'm dying." And he's like,
Oh my goodness gracious!
That's a good
my
rant.
rant. That's my
yeah,
rant.
I
It
mean,
just bothered me.
exactly. I mean, it's what kind of message are we sending
Right.
here?
I was-
Like, it's once in a while, it's kind of good to like be able to close things out, but not like to the point of like,
Well, and there's great reasons to have those headphones. If you have somebody who, wants to sleep while you're watching what,
Yeah.
like you could use them in a way to actually make your partner's life better.
Right.
Not make your own life worse.
Yeah.
Like,
I
it's-
remember. You remember that commercial a couple years ago when they first developed the technology? I think it's a direct TV technology where it shows the guy in the living room watching something, but he wants to go in the kitchen for a snack, so he slings that to the television
Right,
in
yeah.
his kitchen.
Yeah.
And it's like you can watch the same show in any TV. I'm like, okay, so now I'm doing both entertainment and life the wrong way because I'm doing them both constantly, and I can't separate the two. Anyway,
Right.
yeah, commercials have all kinds of bad stereotypes
Ugh,
just to sell.
Weird.
yeah. All right.
All right, First Man. We're all excited to see it. At least I am.
This is some bullshit here.
Damien Chazelle directing Ryan Gosling as Neil Armstrong. It's gotten generally positive reviews.
Oh, glowing reviews for the most
some
part.
absolutely glowing.
Yeah.
I don't think I've seen a bad review of it. I've seen ones that kind of mitigated their enthusiasm.
Sure.
So during Venice, was it the Venice Film Festival? Ryan Gosling was asked about. I don't know if he was asked specifically about this scene, but there's no scene of Neil Armstrong planting the American flag in the lunar surface, talking about the moon again. And Ryan Gosling, either in response to this or some other way, said this was a human achievement. First man to walk on the moon was a singular experience for the entire world.
Yeah.
It wasn't uniquely American.
Right.
I'm not quoting him verbatim, just paraphrasing there. Due to these comments, and the press picking it up and stuff like that, not by seeing the movie, politicians like Marco Rubio in particular started tweeting about how this was a uniquely U.S. Funded mission that used U.S. ships and U.S. astronauts and stuff like that. It was an American achievement. It was not it wasn't a UN achievement. And from there, of course, all the trolls are picking up this scent of this is unpatriotic. This movie is now unpatriotic for not containing a scene that they haven't seen in a movie that they haven't seen.
Even Buzz Aldrin fucking tweeted out a picture of the flag on the moon and said, "Proud to be an American."
Right. Yes.
And
So
I doubt he's
feuding-
seen the movie.
Yes.
But he's already, yeah. And see, I'm concerned our rants are going to bleed together because I wanted to rant about the Colin Kaepernick Nike thing and the reaction of people like John Rich from Big and Rich.
Oh my God.
Who's, what was it, their drummer, their sound guy?
Their sound guy.
Cut the Nike swoosh off of the socks that he'd already given Nike the money for.
Yeah.
And, I will admit John Rich has more followers on Twitter than I do. But I'm very concerned with how it seems like patriotism is mingling with what I view to be like race issues and equality issues.
Oh, but that's the whole point.
Well, it is, and that's my point.
That First Man stuff is just dog whistle. It's pure dog
Absolutely.
whistle. It's pure dog whistle nonsense,
Yep.
and it slays me. And the Kaepernick thing is the same way,
Yeah.
and it's just like, my team, your team, we're on this side, and here's the latest thing we can get
and
distracted
if
by.
Kaepernick's kneeling is not about the military or patriotism. You know that. You're either...
I do.
Well, okay, there's only two kinds of people. The people who who don't realize that. And there are flat earth people out there. So I'm willing to believe there are people ignorant enough to actually believe Kaepernick is protesting the military. But they're a small number. The rest of y'all are just racist. You just want an excuse to be mean to the black man. And it's really infuriating to me that we're tying these things together. Again, I step out of that anger. I'm fascinated to see how the NFL is going to play out these first few weeks, because this issue is not over. And there are going to be more protests than ever now. But, you know, I find it interesting that Nike's going all in on this, knowing they would take some backlash. They clearly must have some market research that suggests
they did the numbers. I'm sure
the majority of people are going to agree with them. Yeah. But yeah, the first man thing is really frustrating, especially so because there doesn't seem to be a target there.
No, there's not, and I'll give you an example of that. So the Maltons, our good friends Leonard and Jesse Malton, are at the Telluride Film Festival, and they saw First Man. And we're talking to Jesse about it, and saw her post on Twitter defending somebody who had said, you know, this is a pretty good movie. Somebody got on there and said, it's unpatriotic, blah, 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 blah. She defends this person, and now she's getting attacked for a tangential First Man defense, essentially.
Yeah.
And that's what you're saying. There is no target.
No, it's not like Ryan Gosling or Damien Chazelle have done anything to piss off the right or Marco Rubio or the racist conservative.
Yeah.
Well, from my understanding from people who've seen the movie, it's a very patriotic movie even. And,
it
you know,
is.
It's like there's flag shots all over the place. There's, you know, that emotion of wow, we did this kind of thing. So it's just weird to hear people who haven't seen it
picking out something just as you said, a dog whistle. It's
absolutely that, because we were just a few years ago at a place where everyone could agree Michael Bay uses too many American flags in his movies. We did a whole montage bonus round of them in the Transformers 5 with the first one with Marky Mark, because there were so many American flags. That's like a cliche. And now we've come just a few years later. If you didn't put the American flag in your movie that's about an American, you're not patriotic.
That's right.
You hate America. Yeah. God, I really hate this country right now.
There's
that was hilarious.
I haven't said anything.
What?
No, you're like, you hate America. Man, I hate America.
I'm just saying, I hate being American right now because of what these people are.
No, I totally got it.
I'm getting lumped in the same thing.
I haven't said anything because I've tried to argue with a lot of these people.
Yeah,
it's impossible. It is impossible. They think it is this, and there's no way that you can tell them any other thing, because everybody's got black and white motives about everything, apparently. And so, like, it's impossible to argue one way or the other. I did learn in school, though, there's a difference between patriotism and nationalism, and I think we're getting into I think we're getting into a lot of nationalism with the so-called love of our country and everything. That's getting kind of scary.
Yeah, it is.
And so, like, I don't think that anybody would have even batted an eye had that question not been asked.
Well, that's the other thing. Somebody went looking for it.
Yeah, and I think that if the movie had come out without that, there wouldn't have been anybody. Nobody would have come out and said,
and it's exactly what you were joking about, how we should have pushed our podcast with Andy Weir with a clickbait headline saying Andy Weir refuses to deny that the Martian and Artemis are in a shared universe. But that's what this was. Somebody asked a question with clickbait in mind, and then phrased the initial report as there's no flag planting scene in this movie about a real event where there was a flag planting scene, and then it just became off to the races.
The most depressing thing to me about the whole thing is our inability now to actually do research and find truth for ourselves, be independent thinkers, and actually do, because, you know, shortly after somebody's saying they took the flags off the space shuttle astronauts' uniforms. Like, why would they take those flags off? Why wouldn't they be historically accurate? And do you know how many people believe that when there's a picture of those flags on those uniforms in the movie that they could just find?
Well, that's why I think you're underestimating that group of people that don't know that he's, back to Colin Kaepernick, that think he's protesting the military. I think there's more of those people because they've been told, well, he's protesting the military. They're not bothering to fact check that.
Well, that's what's so depressing to me is you just believe whatever somebody on your side says, and that's just how it is.
I bet that's a big number.
That's. I mean, even if you were to tell them the actual reason, they don't believe in that reason either.
Yep,
that's the other.
Yeah,
problem.
I saw a woman with a ton of followers who's boycotting Nike now because she doesn't tolerate hate. And she was straight faced about it.
Oh my god!
And I'm just like, this is the world we live in. Facts don't mean anything anymore.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, got to crawl out of this somehow.
It's why
Yeah.
it's a scary, scary place. All right,
Yeah.
Chris, do you have a rant?
Well, I do, but it's not. See, this is one of those things you need to like edit this so that mine comes first.
You're gonna rant about like corn on the cob. now,
Yeah, exactly. I'm gonna rant about
Stupid corn on the
cob. Fuck, what is it? Where the fuck does it get off?
Pieces in my teeth.
Literally, how the fuck does it get off?
I really hate corn on the cob for the
Yeah.
record, but moving on.
No, the when we all went to, except for Aaron, because we don't believe Aaron should ever be with us on trips. No, we all went to New York a couple weeks ago, and so we saw Hamilton. That was awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, so glad you guys saw it.
Yeah, Hamilton was.
We did
awesome.
not throw away our shot.
We did
Good.
not throw away our shot. And I think we got into that theater pretty easily. We got there right around showtime,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it wasn't a big deal. You guys left a day before I did, and I went and I was like, all right, I need to fill this day with something else. And so I saw 2001 on the big screen. That was awesome. I also saw the Book of Mormon again. I had seen it at TPAC in Nashville and everything. Before I got in the line, though, I was like, I'm going to go into this restaurant real quick, and I'm going to waste some time in there until that line gets down and I can go in, no problem. So I go into the restaurant, eat a little bit, come back out. That line's still there. And it's like 5 minutes to showtime.
5 minutes?
Yes.
What the hell?
It's a long line. It goes all the way to the other street, how long it is.
Huh.
And so I get in this line and I was like, it's 5 minutes to showtime. What the fuck is going on? Like, why are we in this situation? And the problem always comes down to, I believe, managers who just they don't give a fuck about stuff like this. I told a story in a podcast a long time ago about how I was at Hollywood 27 the night that we got that last Harry Potter movie, and we sold out all 27 auditoriums for a midnight show. And so like, that's a ton of fucking people.
Had you ever done that before, by the way?
No, I mean, there's no chance that you could ever do it because digital age makes it where you can do that easily.
Yeah.
In previous times where I've talked about that Dark Knight thing that we did where we had the 2 prints and we ran it through 7 projectors. That's way more impressive than doing the 27 digital projectors. But that's what you had to do back in the day. You had to interlock one print through another projector or try to do multiple projectors. With the digital age, you can just, it's there. You just go ahead and run it. As long as your district office says you can cancel such and so, or whatever. So we had all 27 sold out. And the manager at the time was like, I'm going to let all these people in at 11:45 or whatever, or 11:50. I don't remember what time it was, but that's 5,000 fucking people.
Yeah.
Why did he wait?
Nobody knows because he's a dickhead. That's why. Nobody knows why. But think about the logistics involved of getting 5,000 people into a theater, and then what happens to the concession stand after that? And like how much chaos is going on downstairs for all that type of thing to happen? This thing that happened at Book of Mormon, by comparison, was very civil and whatever. I got to my seat fine. They didn't start it until like 5 minutes late, whatever. The point is, it should never have to get to this point. There's something about managers at theaters or places where masses of people come in where they're not thinking about how much money they're leaving on the table by waiting till the last second to let people
Missing
in.
out on all that concessions.
Oh my God. All they had to do in that Hollywood 27 thing with Harry Potter was allow one auditorium to come in. Like, there was people lined up at 9 and 10 o'clock. Yeah. We had auditoriums empty. So if you're like, hey, if you're in theater 20 or whatever, we'll let you in. It's free. It's open.
Yeah.
And they go and do their concessions. They're done. They're happy.
Yeah.
Then you do the same thing with all the other ones that open up. And then at the end, maybe you have to let in another 400 or 500 people, but there's a complete lack of awareness on this. I saw this at my own theater when I was in New York. We had a theater where when people were lined up, we were upstairs in an outdoor mall, and there wasn't any room in the theater itself for people to just line up. So the line would go from the door down the stairs in this outdoor mall and then around in the mall. And so then we got all the people were saying, you can't have lines on stairs. That was like a big thing. There was, you can't have lines blocking other businesses, all that. And so like I would see stuff where like, this is people that I worked with would like take their fucking time cleaning an auditorium. They'd sit down in the auditorium while, and shit like that. And I would go and complain about it. And people were like, why are you complaining? Why are you bitching about that stuff? Because I see what's in front of me and it fucking sucks. And so like, that's the type of thing. I just don't understand why, especially in this case. I know Book of Mormon had 2 shows that day. One was at 2. Mm-hmm. So if they had time to clean and whatever, like 5 o'clock till 8, maybe they had to get some props back. Maybe they had to get something in the set. I don't know. I don't know how that all works, but I know for a fact they could have gotten that open 30 minutes to an hour earlier. And, that's it.
Yeah.
That's a
good one.
Yeah.
It's a good one.
It always revolves around people with me.
Fucking people.
Fucking
people.
They're the worst.
They're the worst.
Yeah.
There's part of me that wonders if they like the line out the front for as long as possible, so people are like, what's going on there? I should go see that. That's a really popular thing.
Yeah. I mean,
the more I think about it doesn't make sense.
In the case of Book of Mormon, it doesn't. Maybe now, even with the movie, it just didn't make sense just because everybody knows Harry Potter is opening that night and it's not like we're trying to attract more people to come into this fucking thing. Recommends and warns.
Yeah, baby.
Totes amazeballs.
They're great.
It won the Academy Award.
Oh, for what?
For best movie ever made.
Aaron, you want to go first?
Yeah.
You have a rich background to draw upon for your recommends and warns because you've seen a lot and you haven't been here in a while. So
that's true.
Yeah.
Well, I tried to go with stuff that's fairly recent, but I think I'll go with Won't You Be My Neighbor for my recommend. I saw it again with the family this week because I got the screener because screener season is upon me, which I love. They start sending me all the movies. Come on over, man. So we watched Won't You Be My Neighbor, and man, talk about a movie that's just needed. Like the stuff we're talking about and feeling like Jeremy, you talking about feeling depressed about the country and how we can't like to see this man who, just was exactly what you thought he was, at least by all accounts that are in this movie, and just to feel the optimism secondhand through him, to try to breathe in some of that secondhand optimism and see the world in that way. It's just a beautiful story, and it's one of the best documentaries I've ever seen. And there's so much about the Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood that I just didn't know. I didn't know how it started and that kind of stuff. And
it's just a shame to me that this got to screen before the Captain Kangaroo documentary
or the Electric Company.
Why is there such a Mr. Rogers boner all of a sudden though? Is it like
because we need him? Like it feels like we need him, right? Like it feels like.
But they were in production obviously for a while. At least the Tom Hanks one. Is it Tom Hanks?
Tom Hanks. Is playing.
I thought they just announced that like last year.
Is it like a Volcano Dante's Peak thing or a Deep Impact?
Well, these will be separated by a little bit, and one's a documentary and one's a narrative film. So
it'll be like Man on Wire. And,
yes, it'll be much more like that. Correct.
Whatever the Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
The Wire.
The Wire.
Yeah. The Walk. I think actually. Yeah.
The Wire.
The Wire.
That was a TV show, Barrett, that some of us have seen and enjoyed. It was actually called The Wire.
Right. But still haven't seen it.
I think we need Captain Kangaroo. I think we need Shirt Tails.
Or
Gummy Bears.
Teletubbies.
Or Shirt Tails?
Did you remember Shirt Tails?
No, I remember DuckTales, but I don't remember Shirt Tails.
Oh, Shirt Tails predates DuckTales.
Yeah.
It was like a raccoon and a tiger.
How about today's special?
Oh, I remember that.
Anyway.
Remember that shit?
I've heard nothing but good things about Won't You Be My Neighbor.
Yeah, it's a great one. Definitely recommend it.
When did he die fairly recently, or was that a while ago?
Yeah, it was a while back. I think it was almost 10 years ago.
Sorry, I'm asking stupid questions.
No. That's a good question. I should know because I just watched the movie again last night, and it goes in because he had stomach cancer that took him out. But his wife's alive and still, kicking, and she's in the movie. So,
what do you have a warn?
Yeah, for my warn, I will go with Happy Time Murders. It's an easy one.
Okay.
It's just as bad as everybody's saying.
That's disappointing.
It is very disappointing. I think it primarily comes down to, for me, is there's a difference between thinking that making something adult means making it raunchy and understanding that making something adult means making it complex. Means, you're allowed to have nuance. You're allowed to have darkness. You're allowed to, but this just thinks adult means you can make more sex jokes and
I've been
make
seeing
more drug
that
jokes
a lot lately.
And what's frustrating is the world building here could be kind of cool and interesting. You think of something like BoJack Horseman and kind of the similar idea of, anthropomorphized animals living with humans and how that would actually work. That understands what an adult version means. It means there's complexity to it, that kind of stuff. But this is just like, now we can say these words and talk about drugs and prostitutes, and that's all it is,
Yeah.
But it's puppets, so it's hilarious.
Man, that trailer was so good. That first trailer.
Yeah.
You didn't like the first trailer. You don't watch trailers.
I didn't see the trailers.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, the trailer, the first trailer suggested it could be really good.
If you have some of that stuff, like if that's like some of the comic beats in the midst of something that is actually interesting and says something, then maybe. But it's just in so much of that stuff is just repeated.
Is it the writing or is it Melissa McCarthy?
It's more the writing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of these lately. I mean, even just movies, forget about, R-rated puppet movies, just R-rated comedies in general seem to do that a lot, where it's like, let's just put like 10 fucks in here. That'll be awesome.
Well, I think Logan was guilty of it a little bit even.
Oh, yeah.
We talked about that.
The flashing girls.
Yeah.
The flashing girl.
Yeah.
It's a universal sign for flashing now.
All right. So I'm going to recommend 2 movies from directors that you may have forgotten that they did these they did these movies. Martin Scorsese did a movie called After Hours that came out in 1985, I believe, and it had Griffin Dunne in it.
Wow.
And it is I guess it's a pseudo comedy. It's a really weird type of movie though. But Griffin Dunne basically just going from one thing to another. A lot of, I wouldn't say vignettes, but it's a weird connected universe that he's walking through late at night after hours. The first thing is he meets a girl, and that's Rosanna Arquette. And there's a whole bunch of weird shit that happens when he goes and visits her, and then he goes to a bar next, and the bartender just happens to be connected to the girl that he met, and all this other type of stuff. It's a fun movie. I wouldn't say it's a perfect movie by any means, and you wouldn't even probably know Scorsese did it if it wasn't for like a couple of scenes.
Really? This is a recommend.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's a recommend just because it's so different from all the other stuff that they've ever done. I'm going to get to the other person in a minute, but Martin Scorsese did this movie, and it's fun. It's very short. It's like an hour and a half, hour and 40 minutes.
What is this in between? Last Temptation of Christ and...
So you had The Color of Money was the year after this.
Okay.
And then before that would have been The King of Comedy, probably.
Oh, that's interesting. So those are 2. I mean, King of Comedy wasn't like a traditional Scorsese thing
although
either.
it still had his stalkers and crap like that.
Yeah.
That was, De Niro as a stalker. How novel. But anyway.
How many stalker movies has he done?
A lot.
The Cape Fear, that. What else? We were missing
Taxi
one.
Driver.
Taxi Driver.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah, he's been
analyzed this.
Yeah, analyzed this for sure.
Silence.
Yeah,
Rocky and Bullwinkle.
Yeah, Rocky and Bull.
They're stalking Jesus all over that Silence movie, man.
They are.
It's-
The other one would be Talk Radio. Oliver Stone directed that one. Eric Bogosian plays the DJ in this, or not the DJ, but like a talk. He's a Howard Stern type of guy.
Yeah.
He basically is Howard Stern.
Yeah.
This is young Alec Baldwin.
Yes.
Young guy from Mad About You, who I've never seen in anything except Mad About You and this movie. Sorry.
No, it's just he's a controversial figure who's like basically telling all the callers that they're worthless and they're wrong about everything. And he starts to build this sort of like unnatural hate towards him. Like people actually threaten to kill him and everything like that. But he's so arrogant that he doesn't think that anybody actually wants to go out and kill him. But the whole thing is like one night, just like After Hours. After Hours is all in one night. There's something, I don't know. I'm drawn to these type of movies where stuff that happens just in one night, it's all contained in one little area and everything like that. They're just, I don't know. They're just something about the mood and the atmosphere of those movies, that, just compel me to watch them.
So it's one show that this guy does?
Yeah.
He does have some flashbacks to life with his girlfriend.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like one night, he does like a 4-hour show. At one point, like Michael Wincott is
Oh,
like
yeah.
this
Yeah,
like drugged out
unrecognizable.
teenage punk rocker who had called in, and this guy says, "Come on down to the studio." And once the kid gets there, he's starstruck, and he's obviously not a threat. And he's like, "Hey, man, I'm on the show."
Yeah.
But yeah, it's all one night. It does this really cool thing with music and telephone tones in the opening and closing of the movie, where it's just kind of a repeated pattern of tones that becomes kind of like a melody. It's I could sing it to you right now, but it probably wouldn't make any sense. But I've seen this movie like 6 times. And I think I was drawn to it because I did some radio in college, and people did not threaten to kill me.
That's good.
The guy who did the soundtrack, the score for this is the same guy who did Wall Street for Oliver Stone.
Oh, wow.
And then like that was it. Those were the 2 movies, and then Oliver Stone moved on. But,
Those two had a big
When was
falling
this?
out.
Talk Radio was 1986.
Oh, okay, so right around the same.
Yeah, Wall Street came out in 87.
Okay.
No, wait a minute. Platoon was 86. God, it's all jumbled up in there. No, Platoon was, it was 86. 87 might have been both years.
This is 88.
Oh, 88. Talk Radio was 88.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so he did that, Wall Street, and then Talk Radio all in a row.
Oh, wow.
These are movies that you would not fit into their filmographies at all, and that's why I'm recommending them, just to see a different side of them and everything. And they're both good. They're not. Talk Radio is probably the better movie of those two. After Hours is kind of just a weird, like almost stream of consciousness type of thing. But those are really interesting movies if you like those directors at all. I could also talk about Upgrade, which was a movie that was like sort of a semi-hit this summer.
It got really good reviews.
Yeah. I like it. I think it's probably going to have a cult status. I'm not quite there yet.
Is it like almost Venom?
No. It reminded me of it's like kind of like a RoboCop almost.
Yeah. I'm on the same page as you. I see why people love it, but there's just enough about it for me that I'm like, I can dig these action scenes in the kind of there is a raid element to this movie. Like there is some of this action that's really interesting and shot very, creatively, but the story itself left me wanting more in a couple places. So
yeah. That's what I kept coming out of that with, was like, I love the technology and everything, but then I don't know, it's bogged down by a lot of like, this evil corporation wants to do this, while this evil corporation, it's right. I wish it wasn't that.
I couldn't go over the fact that they spelled the title UPGRAYD.
Yeah, like in Idiocracy,
or like a rapper would.
Was it Idiocracy that they spelled it that way?
I don't know.
Whereas I don't know if they did or not, but like Maya Rudolph is looking for her pimp named his name's Upgrade.
Oh.
And she goes to like the phone book or whatever, which is really like a computer screen, and she's like, who would you like to find? And she's like, Upgrade. And like there are 15,000 people named Upgrade. But yeah, I would put that in a Wreck of Warren maybe. I like sci-fi enough that it's worth giving it a look. My Warren's going to be Netflix's Insatiable.
Yeah.
I saw 4 episodes of this, and basically, yes, I was drawn to a pretty face, and I wanted to watch it because of the pretty face.
This was controversial when it came out. Right?
Oh, really?
People, before it had actually come out, just the trailers had people saying it was fat shaming.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it, so I won't speak to that.
There is quite a bit of that, all in the name of comedy, of course, but there's no likable characters in this whole show. Even your main character, who you're supposed to be rooting for, is awful. Because she, and not awful to the point that she's like Rachel McAdams in Mean Girls or something like that. It's just that her whole goal after once she gets thin is, she's someone like I think a homeless person tries to like steal something from her and she punches him. There's a big court case over it. She hires this lawyer guy. The lawyer, it's so much bullshit going on in this. This lawyer guy likes to enter women into pageants, these girls into pageants. That's his big thing in life, is to enter girls into beauty pageants. And in an early scene in the first episode, he I can't remember exactly what happens, but the girl that he's representing doesn't win. So the mom gets pissed off and says, "Oh, he touched her on her hoo-hoo." And so like there's a big like, oh, well then, he's scorned because of it. And even though they come out later and say it didn't happen or whatever, he's scorned in the community as that person who did that and everything. Are you laughing yet? That's the problem I had with it, right?
Yeah.
It's like there's not much going on with it. But this girl, the main girl, falls in love with this lawyer guy, and she wants to break up his marriage.
Oh, okay.
And so like there's just every character in this. There's no redeemable qualities, and it's not like it. I don't know. It doesn't feel like it's writhing around in the muck like it. Oh, I love this or anything. It's just like there's no imagination to any of this. I don't feel like so.
Does it at least have that Beyonce song? You're so insatiable, you must not know about me.
You know what? It's probably like episode 7.
Irreplaceable.
Irreplaceable.
Yeah.
That's probably.
I had to connect the dots for you there, didn't I? I saw his brain turning.
Yeah, that's probably episode 7, which I won't be getting to.
To the left. This
show is.
So you've given up
the Cha-Cha Slide?
Yeah, it's one of the few shows. I mean, because I'm such a completionist.
Yeah,
I want to, but I haven't gotten back to it since I watched that last episode. So it's just one of those things. And you keep thinking, oh, there may be something turning for these characters. They go back and they're just back to their old selves by the end of it. So,
awesome.
Yeah, that's my reward.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
I got a couple of movies that start with C.
Oh.
So after I talked about Surfwise, the documentary about the father who pulled his kids out of public school and taught them surfing and may or may not have messed them up for all time with his unique parenting style. A lot of people told me this sounds a lot like Captain Fantastic, which is a movie I had heard good things about from a year or two ago. Got some awards buzz. I'd never seen it, so now I have.
It's got Vigo in it, right?
Did you not love it? It's good.
I recommend this movie.
Okay, good.
Fully, and it's absolutely charming just for the little idiosyncratic things about his family.
Sure.
Like when he's naked on the bus and the old people are walking by and he's like, just a penis. All men have them. We're all animals of the earth. That'll be my excuse now to walk around the house naked, no matter what my wife says. The scene where he calls his kid down to absolutely school his two nephews.
Oh, that's an incredible scene. Yeah.
Is awesome. Now, when the movie takes a turn, and he has that moment of realization that he may actually be a danger to his kids.
Right.
It gets me.
Yeah.
But then I feel like it cheats on its ending because he realizes it. He leaves the kids with the grandparents, I think, or the parents of his dead wife. You're better off with these people than me. I'm a danger to you. I almost got you killed. But then the movie ends with them, they break out. They run away from that home. They hook back up with the dad. Let's go dig mom's body up out of the ground and cremate her like she wanted. And they cremate her on this hillside, and they're dancing around, and they start singing. What is
I don't
that
remember.
fucking song? It's some hippie song, and they start singing in harmonies, and I'm just like, no.
See, that worked for me.
It didn't work for me because it felt like it wanted to have its cake and eat it too in terms of like breaking him down and letting him see the actual dangers in what he did. But it's all kumbaya at the end.
Well, it's kind of kumbaya at the end. It gives them the opportunity to understand the balance of kind of what they've had to go through, right? Like that's how I interpreted it was, yes, there are some things he can't give them because of his independent streak, but there's also a beauty there so that they can find in their own life that balance.
I'm pretty sure all those kids are fucked. Just like the kids in the surfing documentary.
Fair enough.
I think it may have colored your opinion, right?
Well, that's the problem, is that I think if I hadn't seen the surfing documentary, I might not have this opinion, because that documentary ends, it tries to have, like, they get back together and have some kind of reunion at the end where they hug as they're, I'm sure it went disaster after that and the cameras turned off. Because it goes dark pretty hard, as I think it would. And so when I'm watching Captain Fantastic, I'm like, this is pretty funny. This is pretty charming. It's going to go south. And then it kind of does, but then it kind of pulls it back. I just wish it would have gone a little further. But it's a recommend. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, no, it's very well made. Very well made
Yeah, I
film.
got to check that out.
Good performance by Vigo.
Yeah.
I have the Blu-ray in the collection.
And after this and Eastern Promises, clearly the man has no problem showing his dick.
Oh, there you go.
Nope.
He got nominated for an Oscar, and I think it was at the expense of somebody that was like really beloved. Do you remember this?
I do, but I can't remember
I'll
who
have
it
to-
was
I'll
that
have to
got
check that out.
shunned. It might have been another Paul Giamatti thing,
Maybe so.
but I don't know.
But anyway, yeah, I recommend. Now, for my Warn, a movie I'm ashamed I even watched, Couples Retreat.
Oh, Jesus
Is
Christ.
this the first time you've seen it?
I have caught scenes. And the only reason I watched it was because I had never watched it.
Uh-huh.
And I like Jon Favreau. I like Vince Vaughn. I like Jason Bateman. I like Kristen Bell.
Yes.
And I'm like, there's gonna be something in here.
Yeah.
There's nothing.
No, this movie is wrong
There's
on
not
all
a
different
single,
ways.
not a single gag lands. Not one of them. Not a single joke. Not a single sight gag.
Nope.
They're all flat.
It really does make you wonder what they saw. I don't understand what a lot of these people see in scripts like this, because a lot of these people are in movies like this.
Yes.
Like lots of them. And I'm like, what are they reading that said, well, you never know. I mean, it could be funny when we come out there.
Yeah.
This
may be another like vacation movie that they decided.
Oh my God.
Because they're at like the Maldives or something like that, right? Or some
They go to like some Caribbean
resort. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, you know who directed this, by the way? Peter Billingsley,
Yeah.
the star
Christmas
of
Story.
Christmas Story. He's directed 5 things.
Yeah,
This is one of them.
he and Vince Vaughn are buddies.
Yeah, I think he's Favreau's buddy too. I guess that makes sense.
Yeah.
Favreau. But yeah, everybody's bitter and angry.
Did you watch the whole thing?
I watched the whole thing.
What about that massage scene was maybe like the ickiest thing that I've seen.
And it's not, what's crazy is it's not.
And we talked about Lolita on the show today.
It's so far from funny.
No.
You wonder, it feels like Adam Sandler got his friends together for a Caribbean vacation, only he's not in this movie.
Yeah.
But there are several moments where it felt like they thought Favreau and Vaughn together could just riff and carry a scene. I swear the beginning scene in Jason Bateman's kitchen, or it's Vince Vaughn's kitchen, I swear the script must say Vince Vaughn and Jason Bateman riff about ball cancer for 3 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just, it's unfunny. And I love Jason Bateman. I know not all of his movies are going to be good, but there's usually something about him that I can enjoy. And even here, he has nothing.
No.
They're all nothing.
No.
Stay far away. Very far away. Don't even be tempted by the clear blue crystal waters.
Yeah.
And the bikini bodies.
Mm-hmm.
Don't do it.
Bikini bodies.
Stay
That's
away.
right.
Bateman in a bikini is
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
something.
I'm telling you, man.
Absolutely. Talk about a Lolita.
more like a Bolita.
That's right.
Oh, nice. I didn't realize that we hadn't talked about this on the podcast yet. Chris and I went to see Black Klansman a couple
Mm-hmm.
weeks ago, a few weeks ago, actually. And obviously I'd heard great things about it. And, I was excited to see it. Didn't really know what to expect. I intentionally avoided like the backstory because it's based on a true story. Or as Spike Lee tells you at the beginning, this shit's for real, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it's really interesting. But I was not prepared for how this movie would affect me and how aspects of it are just brilliant. It hit me hard, especially at the end. I think it hit a lot of people hard at the end.
Well, yeah.
But it hit me hard like all the way through, too. The performances here, John David Washington, who's Denzel's son, is absolutely crushing it as it's the story of a black cop that infiltrates the KKK pretending to be a white cop. That white cop played in person by Adam Driver, who is maybe my favorite part of this movie.
Yeah.
He's
Weird
so
thing.
good.
Mm-hmm.
It's a weird thing to say about, a predominantly black cast and all that stuff. But Driver is, by the way, one of my favorite actors to watch. I think he can do anything at this point. After seeing him in Logan Lucky and then this, and, obviously I love him in Star Wars. He's just phenomenal and versatile. But the way that he casually lies by necessity in this this playing this character is just brilliant.
So good.
It's brilliant of the character to act how he acts in these situations when he's gone to Klan meetings and stuff like that, and they catch him in a lie, and he's got to just brush it off, basically. So it's a talent from Driver, and it's a talent from the character itself. And he's got one guy that's really just after him about, making sure he's pure heritage and stuff like that. And he finds ways out of the situation every time. But then there's Laura Harrier, who was the girlfriend in, or the love interest in Spider-Man Homecoming.
Oh, no, not according to Peter Parker. Totally boyfriend and girlfriend after one date.
My girlfriend's dead.
Yeah.
No, she's fantastic. I mean, I thought she was fine in Spider-Man Homecoming, but she shows a whole different level in this. And everybody else, there's a great cameo by Alec Baldwin at the beginning of this that will set a tone that this is irreverent. It's at its heart probably a comedy, but it's at its core maybe a tragedy.
Well, that's the whole thing about the movie that I came away going was like, I don't know how Spike Lee pulled this magic trick off. I honestly don't, because the movie is just as harrowing and damaging, and it's just painful and awful, and yet it's that kind of awful you need to see, you know? And at the same time,
laugh.
And at the same time, it is hilarious as all get out. I don't know how you do both those things in the same movie and not feel like you're on a roller coaster of tone shift.
You have to have his perspective.
Oh my goodness. It's that movie should not work as well as it does, and somehow it does.
And I know there was a discussion as to why there's stuff like Charlottesville showing up at the end of this movie and everything, but if you look at how this movie gets its plot started, is that once they're talking about infiltrating the KKK and everything, there's this laughed off like, oh, what are they even a thing anymore? They don't even really exist anymore, do they? Well, that's something that they thought had happened back in like 1929 or whatever, and suddenly they're coming back up in the 70s. That's why they show that stuff at the end, because you still say, oh, ha, 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 whatever, KKK, they have no power, blah, blah, blah. Then you see what happens.
They start throwing in catchphrases like America First and things like that. And I think they even say "Make America Great Again."
There's a MAGA line, and it's Spike Lee, and usually I don't like this, the didactic kind of thing where it's a nape of the neck movie where the director basically just grabs you and says, "Look at this, watch this, and this is what I'm talking about." There's no pretense to this. This is my message. This is what I'm saying, and I'm going to say it hardcore. And usually that's a little off-putting to me because, I like something with a little more nuance. I want the director to trust me, that I can understand what they're saying without having to shove my nose in it. But again, for some reason, it kind of works with this movie. I think it's the kind of movie it wants to be and the kind of movie it should be.
What other movie or whatever other filmmaker can pull off that cameo by Harry Belafonte? In that meeting where he's telling that story, it's intercut with the images from the KKK meeting of him getting accepted into the organization and stuff like that. And meanwhile, Harry Belafonte is telling this beautifully rich old voice.
And I can't remember what character he's playing. Not character, but real life person he's playing.
Yeah, he is playing Jerome Turner.
Yeah, okay.
And he's telling this harrowing tale, just almost emotionless, just matter-of-factly communicating this stuff. And the dichotomy in between those two groups, of course, is heavy-handed, but again, it does work. I understand why Topher Grace had to go into a whole other brain space to get out of this character, because he embodies him. He's great in this movie. As a despicable character, which is hard to pull off, but he's charismatic. And he is the casual nature of the slurs that he's dropping is almost like a radio preacher. And in fact, he has a radio show where he basically does just that. But then there's the last thing is there's a couple of like Spike Lee-isms that like the whole "this shit's for real," that kind of thing. And there's a rally in which a guy speaks that there's a montage of all the different faces being cut into it. The final shot is of them just like motionlessly moving down a hall. And again, sometimes that gets annoying, but in this movie, it works. It works perfect. This is a huge recommend. I would totally recommend.
All righty. That was strong.
Not without controversy. His name just slipped my mind. Sorry to bother. Yeah, Boots
Riley.
Boots Riley talking about painting the police as too positive in this movie. And I mean, I hate to speak his truth. Like, that's not up to me. That's kind of the gist I got from what I understood he was saying. And
it's because the cops infiltrated black groups as much as they infiltrated white groups. And they do infiltrate Black Panther rally in this, but then there's nothing else after that. I guess there's more that we haven't explored.
He's telling his story,
right?
And I understand. You get your opinion, whatever. This is his story. This is the way he wants. He threw in some flourishes. He threw in like a big suspenseful thing at the end that apparently never happened. But you know what? Tell your story, man. If you don't like it, that's cool.
Yeah.
You can point this stuff out, I guess, but is it really necessary?
Yeah.
But that's his thing. To his credit, I don't think Spike Lee responded to it
No, I don't think so.
He did. Well, he didn't respond to it. Somebody asked him about it, and he gave the kind of diplomatic answer you would expect, Spike Lee in his late 50s or early 60s to give. Like, I'm not going to tell him he can't say what he wants to say, and everybody experiences art in different ways. It was that kind of a thing.
Okay.
So
that's good.
I'm totally with you on the 1-2 punch of Logan Lucky in this, and like Adam Driver is next level actor for me now. He's definitely one I'm watching.
Good.
Still need to see that Jim Jarmusch movie he was in.
Only Lovers Left Alive.
He's like a bus driver or something.
No, yeah, it's the one that just came out.
No, I know the one you're talking about. He's great in it. I didn't really enjoy the movie that much. But
do you like Jim Jarmusch though?
No.
Yeah.
No.
If you like Jim Jarmusch, you like Jim Jarmusch movies. If you don't like him, then
you have a Warren.
I do have a Warren. I want to talk just a little bit about Rampage because it leads into another point. We did a Sins video for Rampage, and it's hot garbage. It's just throwing shit at the wall.
Both the movie and the Sins video.
But yeah, I mean, The Rock is doing The Rock stuff. You can tell he's in San Andreas mode or skyscraper mode or whatever it is. But it's like, yes, he's likable, but try harder, man. When he tried harder with Jumanji, he did really well. Like, try something. Try something. And he's not in Rampage. He's phoning it in. And yeah, it's supposed to be a dumb monster movie and stuff like that. But just like Jumanji Welcome to the Jungle, that's a stupid premise, but they made it good.
I think what's frustrating for me, to interrupt you and totally hijack your point,
Bring it.
about The Rock is that when I see him on social media, and even the dust up with Vin Diesel about the last Fast and Furious movie, he's always talking about hard work and work ethic.
Yep.
But that only extends to the physical for him. Showing up on set on time, making sure your body looks the way it's supposed to, and having your lines learned.
Yep.
But he's not working very hard and picking these movies.
Man, I mean, I pointed that out in the Sins video, the one at the end where he's firing a gun at this fucking thing that can't be killed, and he's like, "Charge! Run!"
Yeah.
And it's come on, man. You're not fooling anybody.
Everything about it. I wrote the scene in that Sins video that says this might be the stupidest movie I've ever seen in my life, because that is literally what I was feeling at that moment in time. It is offensively, aggressively dumb. I guess what's frustrating to me is that he can pick good projects. I think even in the Fast and Furious movies, he's choosing well to choose those roles. They suit what he can do on screen and his charisma and his body type. But we talked recently about that Snitch movie where he has to go and try and get the bad guys in trouble on his own because Sigourney Weaver won't do it anymore. I think it was Sigourney Weaver.
I don't remember.
Yeah, well, it was good.
Uh-huh.
Well, Jumanji Welcome to the Jungle is good.
I know.
Are you sure he can pick good movies, or is it possible he just picks every movie and so it's bound to be some
well,
of them
and that's
will be
part
good,
of it.
Or...
He's got a guy who's like his production partner. I can't think of the guy's name.
Oh, the guy that he bought the truck for just recently? No, that was his stunt double.
That was a stunt double. But I saw an interview with this guy saying, we have a whole plan for a rock cinematic universe where we could eventually do a movie where all the characters are the characters The Rock has played in all of his movies, interacting with each other. And I was like, it's a problem for me that you are his producing partner.
Wouldn't that just be multiplicity?
Yes.
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm sure he was probably joking. I hope.
Never know.
But yeah, you may have a point. Maybe he picks everything And every now and then, one of them turns out good through no fault of his own.
I don't know. I think he's great. I love him more than you guys do. I go to bat for San Andreas. I think San Andreas is a lot of fun.
All right, podcast is over.
Yep. Yeah. Did you see Skyscraper?
I did see I went to bat for Skyscraper.
You went to bat for that?
I went to bat for Rampage. So there's something about no. There's something about Listen, I never turn off my brain. Like, I hate that saying. Like, just turn off your brain and enjoy a movie. However, there is something to be said for letting the movie be the movie it wants to be. And I think those movies are the movies they want to be. A very similar movie that he's not in. It's so hard to know. I think he feels like he's in everything. Which is also a movie I know you guys hate, which is Kong Skull Island, is another movie like that where I'm just like, this movie is the movie it wants to be, and there's some fun to be had if you can get into the same like brain space.
I guess I just hate those movies.
Yeah, no, it's a totally valid opinion. It's probably the right opinion. It's also an interesting thing where I very vehemently, when I became an official movie critic, was like, I am not giving up this idea that I can have fun and go see a movie. It doesn't have to be Citizen Kane for me to have an enjoyable time. And that's when I walk out of a movie, I go, okay, did I enjoy myself? If so, cool. Movie did something, you know? So that's, I try to be as analytical as I can be, and at the same time, still be just a movie lover.
My counterpoint to a movie being what it wants to be, and we give it the benefit of the doubt of it, is something like The Brown Bunny. Like, if the Brown Bunny is exactly what it meant to be, and it's boring as fuck, and I don't know how anybody could like it. But if we're gonna base, like, I think that's an extreme example.
Sure, and there's a balance somewhere in there. Yeah.
So it's not like, I just think that a lot of times when they are striving to be just this amount, they are depriving us of something that could be a lot better.
That I totally agree with.
Yeah. So,
that I think is a very valid point. Rampage is not a great movie, but maybe it could have been a really good one, you know? That I totally agree with that point. And when I say I go to bat for, I mean C+, B-.
Right, nobody's, Have you guys seen Ballers?
No.
A TV show,
like
yes.
an episode.
I've seen every episode, yes.
Really?
Yes.
I can't go to bat for that show. That's just Entourage with sports.
Yeah.
It's like, I feel like, again, who am I to say? He can do whatever he wants. He's earned this popularity and fame, but it does kind of feel like he just wants to be a star rather than a star known for...
Well, you talk about work ethic. I think he really sees work ethic as doing a lot of
production.
Work. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's even a valid perspective because I think there are plenty of people who don't. Johnny Depp apparently had people reading his lines into an earpiece so that he wouldn't have to memorize his lines. And that's not a very good work ethic and probably results in Pirates movies that suck balls. But that's not, we're talking about art. We're not talking about literally like running a grocery store or building a building. We're talking about art. And maybe you're right. I thought for a while there he was just, he was having trouble picking, but maybe that's not it. Maybe he just picks everything.
I think he does pick everything.
The reason that I bring this up is that he was announced that he was going to star in this King Kamehameha movie about the Hawaiian king that united or basically saved Hawaii in some way. I'm not fully versed on his backstory. Kind of makes it sound like it's like a Braveheart type of story. And everybody's like, well, he's got Polynesian roots and things like that, so he's going to be perfect for this role. This is going to be the role that was made for The Rock and or for Dwayne Johnson, and he's going to nail it, and he's totally going to knock this out of the park. It was tailor-made for him. I don't think he has the chops.
No.
To do a William Wallace, King Kamehameha type of thing.
No, it was called Scorpion King.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, I was about to say, Scorpion King was made for him.
Yeah, it was, and you realize he had to like regroup for 10 years after Scorpion King before he could be a movie star
right.
again.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he just does, and more power to him. I'd probably do the same thing.
No, sure. I'm just saying, like, pump the brake. That was universal. Like, this is so perfect. And it may be, but I'm like, what's your evidence, man?
Also,
point to something that shows me.
There just becomes a danger of these movies just looking all the same, too. Because remember when Rampage trailers were hitting, Jumanji was out.
Yeah.
And it was like, well, this doesn't even seem different. There's no difference between this.
Well, and
that.
now he's doing Jungle Cruise with Emily Blunt, and all the on-set pictures there look like it's out of Jumanji.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Well, and he already did that Journey to the Center of the Earth thing. That's another one.
I forgot about that.
You know, it's the same sort of deal. He keeps finding himself in jungles, having adventures.
Well, let's be honest though. I mean, like when you're somebody with that kind of physical specimen, like your roles are kind of limited, right? Like, I mean,
Well, that's why I made that joke in the Rampage video that I love how they have to keep writing like a Navy SEAL background
Right.
for him because
Yeah.
he can't play a normal
He's a
dude.
primatologist.
He looks like a, but also he used to be in the NFL or
Yeah.
some shit. They've always got to explain away why he looks like such a specimen.
poor guy even gets in an animated film and is still the beefy guy, you know, in
But
Moana.
see, I would
so-
argue Moana, Fast and Furious, and Welcome to the Jungle are the movies he's been best used in terms of kind of blending the comedy with the action and playing up to that body type. Because he's never going to play Mark Whitaker in The Informant.
What was the Michael Bay movie?
Pain and Gain.
Yeah. Was it Pain and Gain? Yeah.
I haven't
he's-
seen it, but I've heard that's pretty good.
Well, he has these moments where he does try to do something a little bit different. I think Snitch is one too, but yeah, for the most part, I mean,
Southland Tales, even though
Yeah,
that
yeah, yeah.
movie's awful.
That's when he had hair.
he still hasn't played Gay
Did he?
Maui,
Yeah, I think
but
so.
Gay Maui.
Gay Maui.
Again, probably no time for questions. We can just go on and on this motherfucking podcast.
That's right.
If you liked what you heard or even disliked what you heard, go to SinCast presented by Cinemasins, or on Facebook, or go on Twitter, or go on SoundCloud, go to Reddit. There are a lot of places that you can comment about this episode.
Yeah, baby. Hey, by the way, thank you for all the love for the Andy Weir interview.
Yeah.
That
It was so
warms
good.
my heart because I thought it was awesome.
Yeah,
It was
definitely.
an awesome experience, and I think I enjoyed listening to it. And it sounds like you guys did too, and really, really appreciate you guys letting us know that.
Yeah.
Oh, well, it was so cool how much he vibed with you guys. Like you could tell you were on the same wavelength, and that really allowed for the interview to go to some really interesting, fun places. So that was great work, guys. Seriously,
Yeah.
that was good stuff.
That was awesome.
We rule!
We rule. But that'll do it for this week. It's Chris Atkins and Jeremy Scott, Barrett Shear, and Aaron Dicer. We'll see you next time.
Thanks for listening. Comment on our episodes on our SoundCloud page. Check us out on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, and Reddit. And be sure to visit cinemasins.com.
Sorry.
That's definitely getting cut.
But it's funny.
Yeah,
I got to make some editorial
that's
decisions. on this.
right. Yes, we've had I'd fuck the whole cast.
There's some words you can't combine.
You have a deflection.
Cans now. Cans.
Yes, cans is no baby.
They're
It's
just
only cans.
You know, is Keanu a good actor? He's not a good
No,
actor.
no.
It depends on how you define it.
There's been so
Okay.
many fucking think pieces about how he's underrated. or
No,
whatever.
he's not. He's a good performer when you put him in the right movie.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And,
That's it.
But if you put him, he's not anybody who can. He's got all the tools in the shed or anything like that. You know what I mean?
No.
He's you got to put him in as Keanu. That's why in South Park, where they have that episode about the PSP or whatever, they have to get their own Keanu Reeves to win, to defeat evil, because that's what he is. That's who he comes in. Like there's like you watch him in Much Ado About Nothing, you're like fucking Keanu.
Jesus Christ, that performance is embarrassing.
Oh, so
How
bad.
did Kenneth Branagh say, I guess I'm all right with this?
Well, yeah,
'Cause he was-
exactly.
Never mind.
Yeah, he was red hot. That was the thing. He put him in there, and maybe you get your people to see your movie.
Yeah,
I guess.
maybe.
I love that movie, man.
I do too.
Yeah.
I love
Everything
that
except
movie
for Canoe.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. I love him. I love everything about him, except the fact that you put him in the right. He's been in 70-80% of the movies he's in. He shouldn't be in.
Yeah.
Don't you feel like
go ahead.
I was just gonna say the same's true about a lot of actors, though, right? Like, I mean, you could say the same thing even like Kevin Costner. You know,
Yep.
somebody.
Or
It's got to be a
Harrison Ford.
Costner
I don't
role.
think I don't think I've ever seen a Kevin Costner performance and went, oh my God, he sucks so bad all the time.
Yeah,
well, maybe that's because he just stay in his lane. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's. I think they cast him pretty well, and even if it's in a
Except for Robin
shitty
Hood.
movie, yeah. Except for
well, there you
Robin
go.
Hood.
That's the example,
right?
But he wasn't necessarily bad. His accent was bad, but he wasn't necessarily
Like
bad.
he's not in like 100 Robin Hoods. Keanu Reeves is in 100 Robin Hoods. Where you're like, what the fuck were they thinking?
Yeah, no,
period dramas and shit.
No,
like that.
I really like Keanu Reeves. It's just that they just cast him wrong so many times.
And then when they cast him right, I think this is where we have the problem, is that when they cast him right, we're so thankful
It's so good.
that John Wick and John Wick 2 become, honestly, I swear to God, most people talk about those movies like I think of The Raid and The Raid 2.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I don't think the John Wick movies, while enjoyable, are anywhere near the same level.
No.
But it's because we love Keanu.
Because UAS is turning
because
into
there's
a
like
star
a
bubble.
dozen different people who have pictures of him on the subway giving up his seat for a woman. Because he's a nice guy.
Yeah.
Because he spent most of his Matrix sequel millions buying shit for the crew.
Yeah.
Like, he's an awesome dude.
Yeah.
So, it's hard to tear him down.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
just can't.
yeah.
And
I don't care about your crime.
Yeah, that's the thing, man. Like man, I swear, when I watched Speed back in 1994, I thought I was the only one who thought that cans thing was funny. And then finally, like, somebody else out of the blue said it, and I was like, holy shit, we can have a friendship based on this.
it consists solely of you guys saying cans.
Yeah,
to each other.
exactly. There's no babies,
Hey, Chris,
only cans.
Cans. I mean, I don't know. Oh, that's our town. God damn it. I clicked on the wrong thing.
That's awesome. On Golden
What's
Our
weird
Town.
is
I understand, them getting out of photography because of the physical pictures not being a thing anymore, but going into laptops and then going, well, we should probably do it real shitty.
listen, guys, if we're going to do this,
Yeah.
I want it good and shitty.
cheap out.
Right.
It's like when Homer gets the half-ass guide to foundation repair.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway.
I don't know. if
Hi,
I
I'm
remember
Troy
that one.
McClure.
Yeah.
You might remember me from such do-it-yourself videos.
Would you mind turning the AC down a little bit?
You mean temperature down?
Yes.
You can do that from your phone?
I can.
Do you have a
You
nest?
live in
I
the
have
future.
a Nest.
That's awesome.
I've got to nest.
The air conditioning is not on,
Oh, okay.
but I will turn it up just in case so that it doesn't come on. But it's currently.
No, do you mean
No,
you
no,
mean
no.
the temperature down?
I'm sorry,
That's
the
why I tried to
temperature down.
clarify.
Oh, you want it
Yeah,
on.
yeah.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
He's
It's
hot.
warm
It's
in
a
here.
little game.
Us cardiac
I
kids,
thought
we
his
need
pants up.
Because you said let's stop, and it sounded like the air conditioning was fucking with you.
Yeah, I say that wrong, and I say that wrong because I think I used to say it the way that
My wife and I
you
say it
thought.
differently.
Yeah, and she says
turn it
if
up,
she
turn it
says
down.
turn it down, it means make it colder.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I've started.
Oh,
adapting.
okay. All right. Well, it's on now.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm getting a buzz every time I talk. Are you hearing that? Did you hear that?
I hear that. It sounds like a phone. Is it mine? I don't think my vibrator.
Yeah,
I
sorry.
don't
It was
think-
my phone and it was ringing. Sorry. It was on vibrate sitting on.
but you didn't feel it.
It's not in my pocket. It's sitting over here on
okay.
this table. I'm not 100% sure that your cat licked my straw, but I kind of think he did,
Oh yeah.
which is why I kind of washed it
Oh, that's fine.
and then dried it off. But I'm still feel weird drinking it.
Yeah.
So if I start foaming at the mouth before the podcasting is over,
We'll take you to a hospital.
you guys tell the doctor what happened. And
Just so you know, I think that's happened to me several times, and I've never foamed at the mouth.
that's
so.
excellent. Excellent news. And then later they made Lords of Dogtown.
They did. They
Which
did.
is nothing in common with either of the things we just discussed.
And then they
No.
also made Digstown.
They did.
And the town.
Oh boy!
I want to see how far we can get.
I know. We could have probably gone for quite some time there.